All right, folks. We all know that one of the most common mishaps in hunting is damage to your rifle scope. Last year, I found the solution to that problem with the Stealthy Hunter rifle cover. It wraps around your scope and actions securely to protect it from getting knocked off of zero or even severely damaged. Stealthy Hunter also has a glassing pad and a wide variety of supplements for the outdoorsman, such as protein powder, CBD products, turmeric, and gut health supplements. They also make a lightweight trauma kit weighing in at just 14 ounces that includes everything you need and nothing you don't for all of your backcountry medical emergencies. To shop all of their equipment and supplements, go to StealthyHunter.com and enter the discount code at checkout, The Northern Hunter, to save on your order today. All Stealthy Hunter equipment is proudly made in the USA.
You're listening to the Northern Hunter Podcast, home of all things hunting, fishing, and outdoors in Alaska.
Welcome back to the podcast this week, everybody. I'm Dalton Gray.
I'm Mariah Humphreys.
And this week, we're joined by a special guest, but we'll leave you hanging right there. James, our fearless leader, is currently airborne in a good way. The door didn't come off his airplane.
Yeah.
And, well, you never know.
Alaska Airlines? Or?
I believe they're going Delta on the way home.
Yeah.
But him and his wife are headed back from the Dark Continent. I know he missed last week's episode, and he gets back early tomorrow morning when it's going to be about 49 below zero.
Cold.
Yeah. He said it was 110 degrees in Africa 2 days ago when they left, and he's coming back to 50 below zero.
I'm not sure which I prefer.
I can tell you right now which one I'd prefer. The one where rubber doesn't freeze solid.
The one where it catches on fire and when you leave it out in the sun?
No. I had plenty of 100-degree weather when I was a kid, and nothing ever caught on fire.
I don't know if I've ever been in 100 degrees outside.
You guys went to Florida when you were kids, though, didn't you?
In the winter.
Oh.
December. It was always like November, December time.
Huh.
Yeah,
well,
so I don't know if I've ever actually experienced 100 degrees outside. We may have had a day of it here, right?
Yeah, I mean, Fairbanks gets pretty dang hot
we get close.
in the summertime.
There's been some hot summers, but
yeah,
that was always just too much. I felt like it was too much for me.
It was like 2 or 3 springs ago that we got a whole stretch in the summer of like 95.
Several weeks
and that was, it was real bad fires
broke a
too.
bunch of records.
Yeah, super, super hot. But anyway, so we appreciate you guys coming back and listening to this week's episode. James will resume production with us, I'm sure, for next episode. Couple of things that I was keeping an eye on. I saw this headline pop up, and you'll find this interesting, Mariah.
Oh, yeah?
Anchorage is complaining about their winter.
They're complaining about it?
Yeah.
Well, that's what they get for not being real Alaskans. I said it.
You want to hear why?
They got too much snow.
They got 100 inches of snow by this time in the winter, and that is a record for how quickly they've gotten 100 inches of snow in a winter.
How much do we have?
I don't know.
We don't even, I mean,
probably like 3.5 feet. Not 100 inches, though, I'll tell you that. Anyway, Fairbanks, in the meantime, continues to be 40 below, 45 below, 50 below.
Mm-hmm.
So keep your trucks plugged in, folks.
Yeah.
Just and public service announcement.
Check on your blower motors.
Oh, yeah. You want to talk about that real fast?
Well, let's just say on my way here from work, I jumped in my truck and it wasn't warm. It wasn't even mediocre warm like a diesel usually is, that 45 degrees.
Wasn't even a little bit ambiently warm from the engine heat just coming through the firewall.
It was
nothing.
I jumped in there and thought, this isn't the way this should feel. And quickly put on a pair of gloves so my hands didn't freeze to the steering wheel.
Yeah.
And
because you got that fancy plastic steering wheel.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well, Naga hide or whatever it's made out of, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah.
Mm-hmm. That is one thing that I need to put in my trucks is a steering wheel cover. Something little fabric, nylon, or something that doesn't quite, well, like you said, it's basically, I would equate it as probably second ranked overall pain when compared to sticking your tongue on a light pole in 40 below. That's just barely worse than grabbing onto a cold steering wheel first thing in the morning.
Yeah. Depends on whether you're not expecting it. If you dried your hands.
Obviously, I'm kidding, folks.
Oh.
Anyway, a few things from SHOT Show came out. This is the last thing before we move on. Yeah. Were you keeping up with that?
A little bit. I'm wondering which ones you're going to talk about.
Well, let's kick it off with the Browning. The Browning X-Bolt 2. Yeah. So Browning has had the X-Bolt series of rifles, which was the successor in design to the old A-Bolt, I believe it was.
Okay.
Might have got that wrong.
I don't know.
Anyway,
I'm not as up on my rifle models as you are.
It was the successor to a previous Browning bolt-action hunting rifle. Mm-hmm. Then they came out with the X-Bolt a number of years ago, and it took off. It's a 3-lug design, 60-degree bolt throw, I believe.
That's always nice.
And so it's just 6 degrees more than a Weatherby Mark V action, which is the shortest in the industry, 54 degrees.
Yep.
Anyway,
check them out while you're at it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, sure. Go give them a look. Go give them a gander. But the Browning X-Bolt 2 series of rifles, the unique thing about those is they offer several of them with preferred carbon barrels now from the factory.
Okay.
And then you can also order them with a Macmillan stock.
Oh, nice.
Right from the factory. Bunch of new chambering offerings. Of course, everybody at SHOT Show this year announced they're making guns in 7PRC. We all saw that coming. Federal came out with a new couple of factory loads, including the 7PRC.
Okay, all right.
Barnes also came out with a 300 PRC Vortex LR ammo with a 208 grain Barnes LRX, which is the same bullet that Brady Miller has been reloading and shooting out of his 300 Ultramag
for the last year or so. They have a recommended twist rate on that?
I believe it's
9.
I think it has to be at least 9.
It has to be at least 9. I wouldn't see a big ammo company coming out with something requiring something tighter than a 9.
Sure. Most 300 PRCs come factory 1 and 9, I believe.
So it's probably stable in a 9 then.
Yeah, I'm almost positive about that because Brady Miller's been shooting that exact bullet reloading for the last couple, at least the last year. He's shot a bunch of stuff with that bullet. So anyway, what did you see from SHOT Show that caught your attention?
Well, nothing that you got me on the spot here, and there's nothing coming to mind immediately.
Taurus made their first bolt-action rifle.
I saw that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, sorry. I jumped in here from work, and my mind is not into the mode yet.
That's all right.
I saw that they did that. What was they're only offering 308?
308, 6.5 Creedmoor, maybe?
That makes sense. If there's 2 cartridges, you're going to start something to see how it fits.
Just like the SIG Cross,
Yeah, well, I mean, it's also SIG, and they're making mil-spec ammo anyway.
Right. Yeah, I didn't see anything else. I mean, I suppose I didn't really see anything truly groundbreaking. Like, there was some neat innovation that I saw. Backfire, the YouTube channel, did a whole 40-minute long YouTube video, like everything new from SHOT Show this year. And I didn't watch it yet because I haven't had time. I might actually watch it tomorrow if I get a minute.
See, Brandon Herrera did one.
Oh, did he?
And I don't remember that there was anything that crazy. He said it was just kind of the usual.
Seekins Precision made a new chassis gun.
Yes.
A new folding chassis.
The Slam
rifle.
Yeah. How much is that?
5.1 pounds bear.
Yeah.
That's with the barrel or no?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. That's complete gun. Now, no optics, no rings, whatever.
Well, yeah, but
I'm sure it's $4,500.
Yeah, it's like $4,200. I want to say for the bear rifle, and I saw.
But once you're going to spend $1,600, what's another $3,000?
Yeah, well, exactly. Yeah, that's the interesting part about it to me is once you cross that $3,500 threshold, what's another $1,500?
I used the Seekins this year.
Don't spoil anything.
Well, that's a teaser.
Wow.
Yeah.
Joined this week by Matt Saiz, ladies and gentlemen.
Yep.
That's how you say that name, right?
Yep.
Matt Saiz.
Saiz?
Saiz. Yes.
Says.
Way. Yep. Says.
So
the most common pronunciation.
So I don't know if can I even say this right. So it's like Zeiss, but backwards.
Yes.
Size.
Yep.
Oh.
Goes with my height.
Oh, yeah.
So spell that last name for us then.
Saiz.
All right. Well, I guess there you go.
Matt Says is in the studio with us today.
Saiz.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to say that.
All right. Well,
He seems to be okay with that.
Yeah,
He's probably used to it. Do you ever?
Well.
Do you actually get called Saiz at work?
Yes, that's the most common.
Does anybody ever call you Says?
Do you get that from your people?
Matt Says.
Very rarely. Size is the most common.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
way people say.
So they're always close then.
Yeah. I guess. Yeah. Everyone wants to emphasize the Z.
Saiz.
Yeah.
What's your heritage?
It's Spanish descent. Yeah.
Okay.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Okay. Yep. Right on. Like conquistador type of? Really?
Yeah, that's where it goes back to. Yeah.
That's your fault.
Interesting.
Yeah. I'm the one.
I think I asked you that before at one of our archery shoots, and you mentioned that. So that's the only reason I dared to broach that topic.
Yep.
I mean, you kind of never know where you're going with that kind of a question nowadays. But well, thanks for coming into the studio today, man.
Yeah, of course.
It's been a while. We got to catch up.
Yep.
I was trying not to do too much of that pre-recording. Get most of this on the old airwaves.
Yeah, sounds good.
But before we break into our main topic today, folks, if you enjoy the show and you like what we're doing here, make sure to leave us a 5-star review on whatever platform you're listening to us on. And also like and subscribe to the show, share it with your friends, and leave us a positive review on whatever platform you're using. If you'd like to shop any of our merchandise, hats, hoodies, and t-shirts, you can head over on to our website, thenorthernhunter.com, and purchase any of that sweet swag there. Here's trivia for you guys. What does SWAG stand for?
Oh, I should know this.
What's the acronym?
I knew it was an acronym.
I think I told you before.
No, I've definitely heard it before that.
All right, sure.
I don't know. Do you know what it is?
Any guesses?
do not.
Stuff we all get.
Oh, that's right. That's right. That's kind of.
That's pretty
I
nifty.
never knew that. Yeah.
That's pretty.
Well, is
handy
it
little
swag
tidbit of
then
information.
if you have to buy it, or
well,
only swag
so
if it's given to you?
The Northern Hunter has swag for sale.
There you go.
So anyway, if you'd like to support the platform and help us continue to keep the lights on in our studio, you can purchase some of our local merch, or you can purchase anything from our sponsored products that you can find on our partners page on our website. We have 6 sponsors and 5 discount codes for 5 different companies. The only company that doesn't have a discount code is Weatherby, but they are a proud partner of the Northern Hunter.
They are.
And then if you'd like to contact us, I just got an email from a listener 20 minutes ago asking about a pair of pants that we talked about in the entry-level gear podcast.
Which pair was that?
It was one of the affordable soft shells, which I think we were talking about the Badlands.
Was it the Badlands or was it the what's the other brand that the internet they sell the Badlands? You know what I'm talking about?
Black Ovis.
Black Ovis. I think we were talking about the Black Ovis a bit too. Maybe the Cryptek.
So there you go. We'll have to do a little bit more research.
Black Ovis, Cryptek, Badlands, and probably Killick would be good.
Yeah.
Killick, actually, for the price, they have probably some of the best for the price.
Sure.
Soft shell gear you can get.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
And they have solids now.
Oh, do they really?
I saw somebody wearing some the other day. Apparently, they bought them several years ago.
Brad.
Yeah, that's who it was. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah, he's got those
we've
gray
had him on
ones.
the podcast.
Yeah, yeah. Well, anyway, we appreciate the support from you guys. And if you'd got any questions that you'd like to have answered on the show or privately, you can email us on the show on our website through a contact us button, and we'll be happy to interact with you through that avenue. So now, without further ado, Matt Saiz.
Yes, sir.
There you go. Said it right.
Yep.
The introduction is over.
It is.
You are in the United States
Air Force. Yes, stationed here at
I was trying not to look at your little.
Oh, I wasn't afraid to look at the patch there.
So you're in the Air Force.
Correct.
And you have been for how many years?
16 and a half years. So
16 and a half.
Wow.
So you're running up on that finish line.
Yes, I am.
Is this your last duty station?
It can be, yes. So I will hit 20 years up here, and if I just elect to stay or continue.
Do you want to finish up here?
Yes, that was kind of
right on.
Wasn't a plan coming up here, but the opportunity presented itself. So elected to do 8 years up here. So I've been up here for about 4.5.
Wow.
Elected to do 8, took me to 20.
Yeah.
So figured that was a good point to either, do I keep doing this and go somewhere else, or are we happy here and stay here?
Yeah, for sure. Very interesting. Well, let's not jump up too far ahead, but I know you from our summer 3D archery league.
Correct.
That you and I,
Golden North. Yep.
You and I used to faithfully attend.
Yes.
And then this last summer, I suppose both of us were MIA pretty much the entire season.
Yeah, I made a few, but I was definitely work had me down in Anchorage somewhat, so I missed part of the summer as well.
Watching out for those spy balloons, no doubt.
Yes, that's exactly, actually. Yes.
What a shot in the dark.
Yeah.
I had no
not
idea.
Really. I mean, apparently we can't hit them even in the daylight.
Shot in the daylight, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, it's good to have you back in the office here and catch up on some old times. You and I enjoyed a lot of time out there. As we mentioned, there is a 3D archery league in the summertime. They shoot 3D outdoors. They got a whole course that we help set up just before everything starts. It's a little club membership. And my wife and I attended for the 2 summers prior to last year. So it would have been like 20, maybe even 2020, 2021, and 2022. But then 23 summer, we didn't make it at all.
Yeah.
Just got too busy, and my guide schedule was full, and then I came home and had too much going on, and then it was hurry, and then we were gone beginning of August on our deer hunt.
Yep.
And then you were sheep hunting.
Correct.
Big spoiler there.
Yes.
Huge spoiler.
Yep.
So, didn't make it at all. But that's where we met.
Yep, that is correct.
Slinging arrows, making bets.
Yes. Yeah.
If I recall, you kind of damaged some trees a few times, didn't you?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Lose some money on some broadheads, did you?
No.
broadhead shooting, but
Those were broadhead
Oh,
trees.
yeah. No, I'm
Yeah.
being dumb over here. Yeah. I should think about what you guys are doing.
Yeah, just shooting 3D. Yeah. That was a lot of fun, though.
it is.
Get a group of guys and
yeah.
gals together and
So I haven't done that. How's the setup? Can you just use your full setup points?
Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yep, just shoot field points. You can shoot whatever bow you want. They got different groups that they split up into. A couple groups of trad, and then they have the hunting compound bow kind of category, and then they have the compounds. Which sometimes, if there's not enough compounds to go around, they'll mix the competition compound shooters with the hunting bow compound shooters.
Who shoots better, competition or the hunting?
I would say consistently the hunters.
Yeah.
Really?
This last year, at least, there actually wasn't a whole lot of competition.
Oh, really?
Bar guys, yeah.
When
It seems like a
when
lot
I
of
was
them
there-
have moved south to
Oh,
Anchorage,
really?
or it's a little bit
Yeah.
So would that
bigger
be
since there's indoor ranges down there.
because
Yeah.
would that be because they're trying to work by a certain set of parameters and equipment, like
Blinders and
just limiting themselves to very specific things, like if they were going to
possibly
if they were actually going to be in a league that mattered,
right.
that they would be required to. So they're trying to limit themselves to that.
It seemed to me like usually the guys that were shooting those competition style bows, and some of them were teenagers as well.
Okay.
But kids that weren't that far into their archery, career yet. But most of those folks that were shooting the comp bows were just doing it just because they enjoyed trying something different in archery.
Okay.
Like they had already shot bows before,
Mm-hmm.
and this was their first foray into it.
I've seen those guys, and I've kind of wondered if they're trying to head for, say, the Olympics or something like that. Because I don't know if you've watched the Olympics on TV.
Yeah.
And some of those people,
I watched several of the Vegas tournaments too.
I know several years ago when I was consistently shooting my compound, I could have outshot some of the guys I was watching in the Olympics.
Well, what they're shooting 80 yards with no sights sometimes, or a single pin sight with a recurve and no
right. Well, and
release.
it was compound. I remember watching what it was and thinking,
was it compound?
It was compound, and I think it was less than 80 yards. The competition was,
Really?
yeah, whatever it was like
50
25
meters, yeah.
Really? They're
Yeah.
shooting compounds at 50 meters
Yeah.
with a mechanical release.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's I think newer to the Olympic side of it, but yes,
Really?
that is a
I think the only Olympic archery I've ever seen was the recurves with the finger tab and just a simple pin sight.
No, I was
And they
watching
were
one. It
shooting
was
like
compounds. It was the
60
full
to 80 meters.
I mean, it was the full competition setup with the
Interesting.
support bar and everything.
Okay.
But
So more like that Vegas round target.
It is. It's all spot shooting, and I think that's up here. The competition guys, I think most of them shoot spot because
Mhm.
it's like a wintertime indoor
Right,
thing.
right.
So I think a lot of those guys that go to the 3D thing,
Mhm.
it's more of like just to shoot outside, and I don't think their
Gotcha.
bows and
Gotcha.
sights are set up for
Yeah.
the bright sunlight and stuff, so they know they get
I know. I love shooting at a 3D
pin burst,
target
star
over.
bursting, and
Get bombarded by mosquitoes the whole time.
yeah.
I remember one day we were there and somebody had accidentally sprayed bug dope on their little blinder visor over their left over their non-dominant eye, and he said, "Oh, it's melting." I said, "Oh, you got good bug dope. Can I have some?"
Yeah.
That's good stuff. Yeah.
He didn't think it was that funny. But yeah, that 3D league is a lot of fun. I really have been thinking about it more lately. I keep going through my hunting gear, and in the corner of my hunting gear is my bow that I haven't shot since November. And so I keep thinking about the 3D league. Like, all right, once it thaws out, we'll get out there. We'll go lose some more hours, or not.
Yeah.
You never know. Could win.
Yeah, we're definitely. I know the league itself is trying to.
I keep getting a lot
stretching
of
it
emails.
out a lot. Yes, they got some new people on the board that are trying to.
I was going to ask if the original guy is still
Bill?
there. Yeah.
Bill, he still is, but I think their bylaws say there's only supposed to be president like 2 terms, and he did like 2.5. So he finally was kind of like, I want to be a part, but somebody else needs to take the reins. So,
So real similar to what we should be doing in the White House and Congress.
yeah.
Well,
Correct.
thankfully, that's going to happen in the White
Yeah.
House here real soon.
Yeah.
Well, don't.
Well, at least there's term limits. Have you read the book Term Limits?
No.
I know he hasn't. You both
No.
should read it. It's phenomenal.
Yeah.
If you don't ever read any other political thriller style book in your life, that's the book you should read.
All right.
By Vince Flynn. And I'm sure we'll have listeners that will agree.
I think I might want to read Terminal List first.
I love Terminal List. It's great. Term Limits is better.
All right.
Anyway, well, Rabbit Trail.
Yeah.
So, Matt, where'd you grow up?
So I am from Albuquerque, New Mexico. Grew up there my whole life, minus a year in Texas that we moved there and decided Texas is so awesome with the humidity and moved right back to the desert.
There's
So,
that big of a humidity difference between New Mexico and Texas.
where we went. So we were Woodlands, Texas, which at the time was a tiny suburb of North Houston. Nowadays, I haven't been there, but sounds like it's huge now. But yeah, we moved out there. So yeah, it was humid and all that. My dad took a job out there and then quickly told the company, like, can I just go back? I'll take the pay cut.
Yeah.
Really?
What did
Yeah.
Dad do for work growing up?
So at that time he was worked for Cardinal Health, so like sold narcotics, I guess, to pharmacists and did that traveling. And then when we moved back, he actually didn't stay with that, and then he did the realtor thing.
Okay.
For
Okay.
years, yeah.
So you came back to New Mexico. So
Yep.
pretty much New Mexico your whole life
Correct.
as a child.
Yep.
And then up until when did you join up?
Right at 18. So I did the whole graduated high school, spent the summer goofing off, and then left
right.
August after graduation and joined the Air Force. So
Okay.
been
Yeah.
doing that since.
Gotcha.
And that took me to the glorious state of California for most of my career.
Oh,
Where were
boy.
you stationed in California?
Beale, so about an hour north of Sacramento.
Okay.
All
Yeah.
right. All right. Well, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'd like to roll back to New Mexico,
Yep.
though. How many aliens did you see?
Not a lot of aliens, but it's
Really?
definitely it is an interesting place. You should go to Roswell, New Mexico.
Yeah.
That is that town's
You're right.
sole livelihood.
That is its license
tourists
plate for
and
life, yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
and there's some interesting people walking around that town.
Are you sure they're folks?
That's a good question, actually. Maybe I have seen aliens.
Might not be
Did you
folks.
spend any time stationed in New Mexico?
I did not.
No, so you weren't
Nope.
never at Groom Lake or anything like that?
No. Well, Groom Lake's in Nevada.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but New Mexico does have 3 Air Force bases, but no, never stationed at any of them.
Groom
So-
Lake's in Nevada?
Outside Vegas.
So what made you choose the Air Force?
I did ROTC in high school. It was Navy ROTC, and I actually wanted to join the Army. And I guess the Army didn't have the recruiting problems that they do these days. So when I went into the Army recruiter, he was just like, "Yeah, you can.
Sure, if you want to.
Yeah, we can give you a rifle." I
Right.
was like, "Well, what else can you give me?" They're like, "We can give you a rifle." And I was like, "Well, I'll just shop around." And so I ended up with the Air Force recruiter, and I don't know, it just seemed a better fit.
Right
It's funny.
on.
I've heard a lot of stories, guys joining the military, and so often it's just happens to be the recruiter they happen to talk to, or the one who happens to be in their office because they went to this guy and he was out for lunch.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm not going to do Marines. I'm going to go Navy.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that definitely does happen. But yeah, that time was
Ends up
just-
being a SEAL or something
Yeah.
like that. Yeah. Yeah, I've heard a few of those stories. So you joined up at 18.
correct.
Now let's rewind again.
Yep.
Let's do another travel back in time. So you grew up in New Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
There's some big game hunting in New Mexico.
There is, yes.
Did you grow up in a hunting culture family?
I did. So, big hunting family. My dad was a big time elk hunter when you could buy tags over the counter. Big time bow hunter, elk hunter.
Is New Mexico where you got that Gila River Indian reservation tag that you can get?
The Gila, down in Gila, yep.
That's some of the best elk hunting in the world.
Yes, there's very big bulls down in that part of the
great mass.
Yep.
On those bulls. Yeah.
Yep. So we actually hunted more northern New Mexico for our elk, but and then he actually guided for U.S. Outfitters for a time.
Okay.
So he did guiding. So I grew up with it. He always left guiding, and then Labor Day weekend we'd all converge in the mountains there. He would come down from guide camp, and him and my uncles would.
Was it like horseback style?
Nope, no horses. It was all foot. They did some tree stand stuff, which is kind of unheard of for elk at the time. But yeah,
was it over water holes?
Water holes and just the dark timber too. They'd find trails and set up on
very cool
elk trails and So grew up around the mountains and doing that, and we did mule deer hunting, all that stuff.
Yeah.
He has a pretty nice antelope, but most of that was all kind of gone by the time I got of age of truly hunting. So
gone as in like public land over the counter tag opportunities?
Correct. Okay. Yeah. So New Mexico is pretty much almost everything is draw only now. And it's a true draw, kind of like Alaska. There's no point-based system. So it's a true draw state. But yeah, by the time I was kind of hunting age, it was all draw. I couldn't just go down to Game and Fish and be like, I want a note tag. Sweet, thanks.
What's the pronghorn antelope population of New Mexico? Do they have a bunch of them up north, or is it kind of sporadic?
So again, when at that time you could get them over the counter. These days it's all draw, and the population kind of took a crash, it seemed like, in the late 90s, and it's rebounded kind of due to actually more private ranchers, and a lot of the draw tags. New Mexico Game and Fish has worked with landowners to do like open gate type policy thing. So a lot of the tags that you draw now are for specific ranches on private land and stuff like that. And then like my dad, he is a cook for an outfitter now, and they're up in northern New Mexico somewhere. And I know it seems ungodly to me, but they have 100 antelope hunters every August.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
that's a lot.
Yep.
So robust enough of a population.
Yes.
To support that kind of industry.
Did you ever hunt any of those ground nesting birds down there?
Ground nesting birds is in.
Did you like that one?
Yeah.
Turkeys.
Oh, yes. Yes. Did some turkey hunting. Did more of that in California, actually, when I was stationed there. California is actually a unique place when it comes to turkeys. They're everywhere.
And what species of turkey are we talking about here?
They have Merriam's and Rio Grandes down in New Mexico.
They got two of them.
Yes.
Right on.
Yep. Merriam's and Rio Grandes.
Right on. So the gemsbuck hunting down there too. This is probably the last thing that I'll ask about as far as exotics go. I mean, I already asked about aliens.
Yeah.
But I mean, you never know. Open season. I mean, it sounds like the government wants them gone. So anyway, but the gemsbuck hunting opportunities that they have on range and off range.
Correct.
As I understand it, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I've only ever heard this through other podcasts. You know, like Brady at Go Hunt shot a broken horned antelope, not antelope,
oryx, gemsbuck,
oryx, gemsbuck. Yeah, sorry. Last year he drew that and went out there and killed one, and I think it was an off range hunt.
I believe probably. I think the broken hunts are all off range. Broken horn hunts
with off range. That's over the counter, isn't it?
No, they're draw too.
Okay,
and that's morphed over time and years too. It used to be like a once in a lifetime, even for off range depredation. You got a year to kill one. They've since broken it up, and it's no longer once in a lifetime. They've broken it up into 12 months. So you get a month. So you put in for whatever month you want, draw your tag, and then go try to find one.
I'm pretty sure he had a hard time finding one that he wanted to shoot as far as maturity goes, and he actually elected to shoot the broken horned one because it was just a neat characteristic that he just chose to shoot.
Okay.
I think they're running long in their hunt, but yeah, that's always seemed really interesting to me is to hunt those Gems buck. I mean, obviously they're not in their complete natural environment, but they look pretty at home out there.
Oh, they definitely are.
Like they've adapted pretty fine.
Yes, and surprisingly, their population has done great. Like, so the off-range tags have increased kind of type thing because...
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Does it bring in a lot of out-of-state attention for draw applications?
I don't really think so. The big draw has always been elk in New Mexico, and sheep is getting up there now too. I don't know if you saw, I think, the sheep show just recently.
Yeah.
There's a New Mexico bighorn tag that sold for like $600,000. I was like, I didn't think New Mexico was the sheep destination, but
anywhere you can shoot desert, anywhere you can shoot any bighorn sheep is going to be the $300,000 plus tag.
I'm showing off my ignorance of some of these lower 48 states.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
Yeah.
We'll get back north here in a minute.
Good thing we're the northern hunters.
Yep.
Speaking of that, let's take a quick break and then we'll be right back.
Yep.
All right, folks. We all know that one of the most common mishaps in hunting is damage to your rifle scope. Last year, I found the solution to that problem with the Stealthy Hunter rifle cover. It wraps around your scope and actions securely to protect it from getting knocked off of zero or even severely damaged. Stealthy Hunter also has a glassing pad and a wide variety of supplements for the outdoorsman, such as protein powder, CBD products, turmeric, and gut health supplements. They also make a lightweight trauma kit weighing in at just 14 ounces that includes everything you need and nothing you don't for all of your backcountry medical emergencies. To shop all of their equipment and supplements, go to StealthyHunter.com and enter the discount code at checkout, The Northern Hunter, to save on your order today. All Stealthy Hunter equipment is proudly made in the USA. All right, so let's go ahead and skip forward now.
Yep.
We've established that you grew up hunting.
Yep.
Archery is obviously a big part of your life. You and I have spent a lot of time shooting at the 3D range together, going back and forth about archery equipment.
Correct.
So let's kind of open up that black hole and take a dive.
Yeah, so Dad, and like I said, chased elk with bows mostly because you can get those tags over the counter. So I grew up shooting a bow, both recurves and compounds. Never had good luck in New Mexico drawing tags myself there, and then actually joining the Air Force, I kind of fell out of it. Didn't do a lot of hunting first 6 years in, and then deployed with a guy that was a big time bow hunter, and he was like, well, you need to get you a bow again. So got a bow and dove back off into the rabbit hole. And I definitely love chasing animals with bows far more than with the rifle. I don't know what it is. Stalking, I just love it. So then got up here and really dove off the rabbit hole into arrows and arrow weight and tinkering.
You and that ranch fairy guy are kind of best friends, I hear.
Well, yeah, I definitely dove off into the ranch fairy, unique individual, but the heavy arrow setups, and I've come back down off some of that, but definitely still somewhat of a believer in a heavier arrow than I don't know. I have not super tall, so I always had the draw length limitation, which already limits, if I just do shoot a standard arrow, I'm at like 380 grains.
That's a whole different world from what Mo and I are used to.
Yeah.
I don't think Mo and I have ever had to cut arrow shafts shorter.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I think I've probably shot full length shafts most of my life.
I did. So. I mean, growing up, I remember cutting. Can you get two arrows out of one then?
Pretty close. Yeah.
Pretty much just shave down a ruler and make your arrow into that. Yeah. Right on. So, how much bow hunting did you get in childhood and then as an adult, leading up to your first kill with a bow? What was that time frame like?
So, like I said, I grew up shooting a bow, but I literally never drew a tag, an archery tag in New Mexico. So, didn't kill anything with the bow growing up, but just did tons of 3D going around the state. And then when I finally got a bow in California and started shooting again, I killed a Columbia blacktail down there with a bow on base, and then drew a tag in New Mexico finally because I was still a resident and shot a mule deer down there with my bow.
Right on.
And then since being up here in Alaska, I shot my cow moose up here and a caribou up here with my bow.
Okay.
Yeah.
It probably feels pretty sweet to finally come full circle.
Oh, yeah.
Especially probably that first one. I mean, my first bow kill was with my my recurve that I'd been shooting since I was, I think I had been shooting that particular bow since I was about 12 or 13. And I was 16 or 17 when I finally shot my first animal with a bow. I had shot an animal the fall prior with a rifle after we moved back stateside. But shooting an animal, it was that cinnamon black bear hanging back there on the wall. Shot that one with a recurve, and I just remember feeling this incredible sense of gratitude for being taught, and being pushed in that direction as a young kid, and then also an accomplishment of, man, this works. Like, this is not only is this a great hobby, and I thoroughly enjoy it as just a way to spend my free time.
Yep.
But this is a great way to hunt, and I really just got an immense thrill out of that.
Oh, yeah. I know. I got a buddy into hunting up here, and he drew the Fairbanks management tag and shot a cow, and I kind of joked with him this year about making the trek up to the 40-mile herd, and he was like, I think I'm just going to hunt with my bow. And I was like, it's different. It definitely gives you like a different perspective when you start killing stuff with the bow.
Yeah.
Like you're in
totally
with the
ballgame.
animals. It's just different than, it's over there. Bang.
Yeah, I don't remember if I told you this or not, but in October I had a client that was recurve hunting for brown bear.
I listened to that episode. Yeah,
yeah, and the thing that I told him was, this is going to make getting within rifle distance look pretty easy. Yeah. Because where a rifle hunt would pretty much end at 80 to 110 yards is just where we have to start being real careful and quiet and really pay attention to everything.
Yeah.
And it's just two different worlds. But, well, that's really cool. I mean, so that Columbia blacktail.
Yes.
Is that a nice buck?
Yeah, not super big. It was just a little forky. So it was actually a base tag. Yeah, so it was a base tag that we drew because we could hunt on base, and you had to use shotgun or bow only. So, of course, I elected to use my bow. And for whatever reason, the genetics down there at Beale produced tons of forkies. So there was definitely some big forkies. Like I chased one, and he wind swirled on me, stalking in at like 80 yards. He was bedded, and he still didn't know where I was because I was on all fours crawling up to him. But he like stood up, looked around, and they kind of act like mule deer did the whole like boing, boing, off he went. But
real similar with those blacktails up here is that a lot of their mannerisms just kind of resemble that. Now, I'm sure other guys that have hunted a lot more mule deer than I have would say that's not even close.
I mean, I haven't hunted mule deer myself, but from videos I've seen and such.
But compared to whitetails, they're definitely more like mule deer.
In certain ways.
Yeah.
In certain ways.
Yeah. I mean, you can definitely get away with a lot more with a blacktail than you can with a mule deer.
Or a whitetail.
Yeah, and I haven't hunted blacktails up here. I know California, to me, they're hard to hunt just because
the vegetation looks really thick.
It's not so much thick. It's, at least where I was down in the valley, it's so hot.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, so they're really nocturnal because for whatever reason, California, maybe because it's California, doesn't let you hunt them in the rut. So, like, the archery season's July.
What?
Yes. So you're talking about trying to chase deer. Yeah. A lot of the northern archery season is July. So my tag started in August, and it's still 105 out. So those deer are nocturnal. Like, you pretty much have to find them in velvet and kind of find where they're going to bed and try to sneak up on them because they will kind of sit.
No kidding.
Places that you wouldn't think. I've found them in some odd places because they don't want to be in the vegetation because they're velvet, but they're also just moving from shade spot to shade spot.
Huh. And then does their rut take place in kind of the traditional time frame?
Yeah.
That, second, third week in November?
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, so you're hunting them way before.
Well, that's a huge bummer.
Yeah, so it's almost better to hunt them super early when they're in velvet and you can pattern them and find them in shade.
Yeah.
And then once they go hard-horned, it's almost impossible. They disappear into the brush and darkness.
Interesting.
Huh. Yeah.
So yeah, I'm really curious to hunt blacktails up here and see the difference.
Well, that's what I was going to say is now that you've done it that way, you're really going to appreciate how, relatively speaking, easy blacktails are up here.
Yeah.
Because it's nothing like that.
Yeah, I haven't done that yet. It's definitely on the bucket list.
It's nothing like that. And you should do it with your bow.
I 100% plan to. Yes.
Absolutely. You should do it with your bow.
Yep.
Like, don't even bring a rifle.
Yep. That's, well, a lot of those islands have bears.
I'm just trying to get him to commit there. That way, if it goes bad, it's just going to go really, really bad.
First year I went down there after blacktail. Granted, we didn't see any, but I was hunting without a rifle.
I think I saw one the entire week.
There was parts of that hunt I didn't even bring a rifle with me. Other times I had it on my back.
But you had a handgun, though.
I did. I would recommend bringing it. If you're not going to have a rifle, have a handgun.
Yeah, I'll have a handgun.
I mean, if it was me, and if I was Matt, and I was trying to advise Matt, which we'll just go down this trail right now. If it was me, and I really wanted to shoot one with a bow, then maybe I would just leave the handgun in camp and leave the rifle in camp, and just bring a little bear spray. But possibly even just a little personal defense mace, and that I'm sure that'll keep you nice and safe. But that way, if you get confused on a big buck and you just feel like resorting to a handgun, you don't even have the option.
Yeah.
And that way I can say, I told you should have just brought a gun.
Yeah. Probably, yeah. Well, this year I'm sure we'll get there, but the sheep hunt, man, I want to take my bow, but I did take the bang stick.
So let's just go ahead and jump into that.
Yeah.
Then. Sheep hunting.
Yes.
Now, I'd like to just set this scene here, okay? You never drew any tags until adulthood in New Mexico.
Correct.
Where you grew up.
Correct.
You moved to California.
Yep. Didn't really have much luck there either. I drew one base tag in all those years.
But you drew one.
Yep.
And you killed.
Yep.
And then you come up to Alaska.
Yep.
Number one question is, did you choose to be transferred to Alaska?
I did. So it was always on my list.
Okay.
The plane I got stuck on was the U-2, which is only in California. So I kind of got stuck there. So I was there for almost 12 years, minus a trip to a year in Korea. So I kind of got stuck there, but it was always on my list, but there was no option until I made enough rank. And then I was more free and I could go to other airframes. So I was like, F-16 base? Sure, I'll go learn that.
Is the U-2 still in service?
It is.
Really?
It is planned retirement, finally. We'll see if they actually go through with it. It's been planned retirement several times in the past, but this one seems to be the most real.
That'd be a cool one to work on, though.
It was. It was an awesome mission, and I actually did love it.
Very interesting. Yeah. So let's get back to why I don't like you very much.
Yeah.
Because you came to Alaska.
Correct.
And this is where Mo and I have a bone to pick with you. Because you have drawn how many tags now?
I have drawn 3 tags in my 4 years in Alaska.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
I've drawn one really crappy tag.
Yeah.
Including a Delta sheep tag last year.
Correct. Yes.
Which you cashed in on.
Correct. Yes, I did.
Yeah. Well, good for you. That's
what
I said. Good for you.
Yeah.
Well, no, I mean, all jokes aside, that is great.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you got to go on that hunt.
Yeah, it was definitely an experience and one of the hardest hunts I've ever done.
So have you always had an interest in sheep hunting in general, or was this just as you moved up here and kind of saw them perhaps driving around or flying somewhere and you just developed an interest in it once you were up here?
The sheep part more definitely since I was up here. Obviously grew up in the mountains chasing elk,
sure.
Did the Boy Scout thing, did tons of backpacking, 14ers in Colorado and backpacking. So I have backpacking
Explain
experience.
What a 14er is for me.
So Colorado has, I don't know, 54 of them, but 14,000 foot mountains. So yeah, we used to go up and climb those and stuff like that. So been in the mountains, done lots of backpacking. So had that experience, just never done a true, I guess, backpack hunt.
Yeah.
And didn't really have the sheep bug crazy. It was just something I put in for every year because it's like, well, you got to put in for sheep. Like, you live in Alaska, you got to put in for sheep. So, so put in every year. And last year I got lucky.
Just keep on downplaying it. Yeah, just downplay it. Yeah. I really didn't care if I got it or not.
Well, I wanted to go, obviously, but it was not. I never even ventured truly into the looking at the over-counter options.
Right.
I kind of had a little bit, but to me it took I just didn't have the time to devote to scouting and finding a ram in a
it's hard to do with a full-time work schedule. And then if you don't have a good enough sense that there's a better than half. Well, if you're not convinced from summer scouting that there's a better than 50% chance that there is a legal ram where you're trying to go, then a lot of folks just can't justify taking that time off for a big maybe.
Yeah.
Unless you're really a diehard, really into it, like I go sheep hunting every year type of guy, which there's plenty of those fellas out there. But there's also a lot of guys that just weigh their options and say, well, or I could just wait 3 more weeks till moose season.
Yep.
And I could take the same risk just about, maybe even less of a risk, and possibly get rewarded with about 20 times the meat.
Yeah.
So there's plenty of guys that are doing that. I did hear that Alaska's sheep hunter number for last year was at an all-time low.
Really?
In the last like 15 to 25 years. It was really, really low.
Well, as much as they've been projecting that sheep numbers are hurting.
Oh yeah. It was definitely below, but it was not just that the harvest was low. It was that hunter participation.
Hunter participation was probably low because they've been saying that numbers are low.
It's been such a publicized thing now. People are just talking about it a lot, and biologists. I mean, it's at the forefront of it seems like at least 50% of the Board of Game issues is sheep regulations, and what do we do about the sheep?
It's a big political thing right now.
Yeah,
huge political.
Well, maybe we've got a better chance if fewer people are putting in for it.
Yeah,
you never know.
I went down to Palmer and listened to I can't remember his
Lou Bradley.
Yep. Yeah, I went down and listened to his talk. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, you have?
Yeah.
That's something I want to do after listening to him talk and seeing those Rampage books. Is like, Jesus.
My wife bought me Rampages, I think 3 years ago for a birthday present.
Yeah.
My wife is the best in the world.
Yeah.
And she had them signed by Lou, and Lou told her, he said, have your husband call me when you give him his present.
Yeah.
And that way I can talk to him and, we can chit chat and I can get to know him. And so I did. And then he invited us out to his house. Well, obviously he lives like 6 hours from here.
Yeah.
Right. It's not just like a quick run out to Lou's house type of deal. But we ended up being down the valley over the course of the next month or so, following the gift. And we stopped into his house, and I thought we'd stop in for 15, 20 minutes. We were there for 4.5 hours.
Yeah, I've heard a few people that have been lucky enough to see his house.
Guy. Yep. He is the nicest, most genuine guy in the hunting world. That is the most unassuming. I'm sure, you just, if you didn't recognize him, you just walk right past him in the grocery store. And he's not somebody that you'd pick out of a lineup of 10 and say, I'm sure that guy has killed umpteen number of 40-inch rams over his career and hunted in the park before it was a park. And all these crazy stories. But he's done a lot of really cool stuff. And what he's doing with Rampages 4 and 5 is really, really cool. Yeah. I can't wait to see those come out. He said next Christmas is his attempted release date. So anyway.
Yep.
So you were starting to get into sheep hunting.
Correct.
Did you have any friends that ever had gone sheep hunting?
One guy at work, he has a sheep hunting bug like crazy.
Okay.
And he hasn't drawn a tag, but he's flown out every year and chased them. So, and he actually harvested a ram this year too.
Okay.
But yeah, he had the bug like crazy. And I was kind of always just like, well, if I draw a tag, I'll go.
Right.
And that's what happened this year. So that's what I did.
So describe, just because I don't know what this feels like, but you get the email.
Yeah.
Or probably more likely is draw results day comes out and one of your buddies texted you.
Yes, it was.
See, I knew it.
Yeah, it definitely was. You started hearing from people be like, is that you? Did you draw that Delta tag?
Yeah,
I was like, yeah, I did.
Yeah, apparently so. Congratulations, me. So what does it feel like to get a tag that everybody else wants?
Well, again, I guess the outpour, all of a sudden you get of people being like, you drew that tag? Yeah. And you hear from a whole bunch of people and you're like, oh man, I guess.
Kind of puts it into perspective real fast.
Yeah, it does. Yep.
I mean, it sounds like this guy just gets the email every year and says, oh, which one did I get this year?
Yeah.
That's a feeling
that
Mo and I don't know how that feels like.
Yeah.
Well, so anyway, not having done any backpack hunts before,
Yeah.
this was a completely new venture into the gear, into the mindset,
Yeah.
and a lot of the equipment that you have to bring, as opposed to what you had been using before. Because at this point, you've been up here for a few years now, but you hadn't had the necessity to get some of that maybe lighter weight type of kit to go mountain hunting.
Yeah.
Now, you said that you had a partner that was going with you.
Yeah. So my brother flew up from New Mexico, and he has more of the sheep bug than me. He's been putting in, obviously, New Mexico for bighorn, but draws are like less than nothing.
Yeah.
But he still puts in every year. So
crazy.
when I told him I drew a tag, he's like, "Yeah, I'm coming up, and we're gonna go."
Very
So
nice.
he was my sheep hunting partner.
Yeah.
And like I said, he's probably more mountain versed than me. So he did backpacking, guiding, and stuff like that in high school. So he can hike. So I wasn't too worried about that. So we did okay there. We at least had the foundation of what we need and stuff. But it was like he hadn't done any for a long time. So I remember like we were talking stoves, and I was like, "Do we bring two?" I was like, "I got a jet boil," and he was like, "I don't even know what that is." Like, I've been out of the game for a long time. Yeah.
Oh wow.
So he was an old Whisper Light guy, and fuel.
Okay.
And,
yeah.
So we definitely had to learn some new things, and
Did you end up bringing one or two stoves?
we brought one.
Okay.
Yep. Only one stove.
Wise decision.
Yeah.
Wise decision.
Yeah.
Did you bring crampons and ice axes, or just trekking poles and boot leather?
Just trekking poles and boot leather.
Did you
looked at some of the glaciers?
Did you regret that?
Nope, not for where we're at. Never made it quite to the glaciers. So, but I definitely looked in some of those areas and scouted into one.
Yeah.
And didn't realize the glacier even started that far out. Like you're walking on dirt, and then the dirt gives way, and there's ice under here type thing.
Yep.
So some of those I was like, I don't know, and I've never even done crampons or ice axes. He has a little bit and had an ice axe. So, but we elected to kind of stay off the glacier.
Yeah. I mean, if it's something you're not comfortable on, then it's best to just stay off of it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess just walk us through the process of getting ready and some of the stuff that you had to get as a first time sheep hunter. I suppose let's just start with your clothing and some of your layering that you may or may not have changed going into that.
So layering, I ran mostly QU stuff. I did it. Me and my brother both did. I elected for some attack pants, and that was kind of a new thing too, doing the whole, this is your only pair of pants.
Really?
Yeah. I only took the one pair of pants. And then.
Did you bring rain pants?
I did, yeah.
Okay.
So rain pants too, yep.
Yeah.
So Yukon rain gear and.
Right on.
Yep.
That's good
and
choice.
then attack pants, and then had, for the insulation pants, I did the Kenai from QU.
Okay.
So it's synthetic, and then I had a actual down puffy as well.
That Super Down Pro.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, actually, that was a First Light, the Brooks down sweater.
Was
I
it?
had that actually already.
Okay.
So I just stayed with that. So I bought the Kenai synthetic.
Yep.
Layer. Yep. Top and bottom. So I took both of those, and then I took a down jacket as well. I got lucky. Not going to say our weather was actually fairly great.
Yeah.
So from what I've heard,
I remember seeing the pictures. Yeah.
Past Delta hunts where I've heard people, getting snowed on in that hunt in August.
Right.
We did not have that.
Yeah.
And only had like one day of light rain, so it was pretty good weather. So
and you said that you set aside how long for the hunt?
We had 10 days. So yep, we did 10 days is what we planned on, and we made it to the truck on the 10th day. So
did you have the early or late season tag?
I had the early walk-in tag, so no motorized, all boot leather.
Did you have any competition?
Did not see anybody back there.
Really?
And so we actually went in later, just with my brother's work schedule and getting up here.
Okay.
So we went in the later part of the tag, which I was worried about at first. Like we had planned, the whole hike in there like a day early and try to find a sheep, because I actually didn't get to do a lot of scouting because work sent me to Anchorage for a little over a month in the summer.
Too.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a
so bummer. not super happy about that, but duty called, so I went down there, so missed a lot of my scouting season, unfortunately. But yeah, it was the walk-in tag, and so
but at least you had like a 10-day window to hunt.
Yep.
You had a little bit of breathing room, a little bit of weather time. 10 to 14 days is about average for what you really want to have for a good thorough sheep hunt.
Yeah.
Unless you're planning on covering like 120 miles, which not many guys do.
No, I don't think we did that, although we did go in a long walk. We walked miles, I think, till we were in sheep country. Found sheep fairly quickly.
Yeah.
Lots of ewes and lambs. Found one ram that we wanted to chase, or we did chase. Saw him opening day.
Okay.
But went into multiple drainages, or we were hunting from the bottom at that point, just from where he was at, trying to find him. Kind of climbed into some of the bowls we thought he could have disappeared into, but we never turned him up, and then saw a couple other small sublegal lambs, and then finally looking for that sheep, found the sheep and the ram that I ended up taking. All right.
So just to compress it down a little bit, and then we'll get into more of the details and things. And how many days did you end up hunting before you ended up finding the ram that you were going to kill and then killing it?
So I'd say we finally saw that ram like day 5.
Okay.
And then took a day to move camp and get into position to where we could find him, and he was out of sight. So it was kind of, didn't even know if he was going to be there. We actually thought he had seen us from across the drainage that we were in, and the last time we saw him, he was going up. So we kind of figured he would have gone up and over into the next drainage.
Yeah.
I mean, he was a ways away across, but still we were kind of in sight because we were hiding from what we thought maybe the other ram that we were chasing was.
Okay.
So backed out and then hiked up around and got onto his ridge line, and then so we hadn't seen him. We went a whole day without even finding him, and then hiked back up there and actually found him dang near right where he had been 2 days ago.
Really?
And then shot him that day, and then took us a couple days to get him all out.
Yeah. It sounds like you guys were
the
in
non-motorized.
there.
Yeah.
Right.
It takes a minute.
You guys were in there pretty deep.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, very cool. So the weather overall was
fantastic for the most part.
Yeah. That time of year, I would imagine. I would expect that.
Yeah. So our actual worst weather day, I would say, was the hiking in. We were hiking in. Yeah. And it was drizzling. And then by the time we were getting to where we thought we should camp the first day, it started pouring and then lightning and stuff. And
you got lightning too.
Yeah.
That's always fun.
Yes. So luckily we were still down low, so it wasn't too terrible. I've been in the mountains with some lightning storms, and it can get fun real quick. Actually, in Boy Scouts one time he'd been struck by lightning. One of the dads had been struck by lightning.
Really?
Years ago. And then we're in Colorado we're in Colorado though on a 14er backpacking out, and we got into a lightning storm, and he refused to move. We had to set up camp because he was so scared. He's like, I'm not hiking anywhere.
Really?
Like, I'm staying.
He didn't subscribe to the old wives' tale that lightning never strikes the same place twice.
Yeah, he parked himself. He was like, I'm not going any further.
I've talked to a few people who have been struck by lightning. It's one guy was riding a wheeler.
They say it's coming.
He was riding a wheeler, and he said there were times he was in and out, like crossing what was little creeks, and they were, raging rivers on his way. I don't remember what area they were, what was going on, but barely being able to make it back through the water. Flash flood.
Did he have his gun barrel sticking up off his back?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't believe so. I don't believe it was that kind of a trip. It wasn't a hunting trip.
Do I know this feller?
You would know his name. I don't know if you knew him personally.
Okay.
Actually, it was he and his wife, I believe, who were out like on some kind of wheeler ride. I don't know if it was even in Alaska.
Oh, okay.
But they were riding, and they were headed back, trying to get out of there, wherever they were joyriding.
Okay.
And crossing water, water's up around their legs, which is not where they were when they got struck by lightning.
Yeah.
So they'd be dead, right? But no, they were riding, and they just looked down and saw the spark go from his hand to the handlebar.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Just through just because he's insulated from the ground, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I don't remember if one of them was struck twice.
So you know who has been struck by lightning twice?
Who's that?
Remy Warren.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I'm pretty sure they say, like, I don't know why, but they say if you have been struck, like, your chances go up somehow. Which I
Really?
never understood that.
Like
but
it increases your polarity or something?
I have no idea the science behind it, but they say that, yeah, people that have been struck,
Really?
they have a higher chance of getting struck again. Like, it's like, 1 in a million. But if you've been struck, it's like, 1 in 500,000 now. I don't know why, but.
No kidding.
Interesting.
Yeah. Wow.
I didn't know that about Remy.
Yeah. I heard him mention that on a podcast a long time ago, but that always stood out to me. Like, really? Like
experience is as the other Remy we know is in the woods. I wouldn't be surprised if he was struck by lightning once.
My buddy Remy?
Yeah.
Yeah. He has not been struck by lightning. He's been struck by a lot of other things, but not by lightning.
Yeah.
Anyways, okay, so
the weather was great.
The first day that you went in there, you got a little bit of
we got rained on and
a little bit of wet weather.
Yep.
Did you guys share a tent or go?
We did. We took a Kuyu tent.
Did you have the Mountain Star or the Storm Star?
The Mountain Star, the 3 season, I believe.
That's
the less.
Yeah. That's the lighter one.
Correct.
How did it hold up for you?
It did great. We did have a tent failure.
Carbon pole or aluminum pole?
Carbon pole.
Snap
which
pole?
I was.
Did you snap one?
Yes.
Really?
Did snap one, yes, which I was surprised. But it snapped at the joint, which if you don't know, the joints are aluminum, and the aluminum is what broke. So very interesting.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No kidding.
So the aluminum sleeve that slides in is what actually failed.
How much wind were you in?
So it was kind of a weird freak thing. We had gone up after the one ram that we thought we were going to find.
Yeah.
We had moved camp, and the tent was kind of in soft sand at the bottom.
Yep,
So
yep.
didn't get it staked down real quick. And we were actually, it was weird. So weather was good, but that day we had some fog that kind of rolled in.
Yeah.
I never really experienced it because I've never been around glaciers, but I guess that's like a thing. You know,
Yeah.
glaciers
Maybe.
create their own little weather system.
Yep.
It was kind of weird. It kind of like come down, swooped around, and then was blowing out.
Yeah.
But it wasn't, I mean, it was windy. I didn't think it was that crazy, but I remember we were going down and my brother's like, I don't see the tent. And I was like, it's down. It's got to be down there. And we got a little bit further. He's like, oh, there it is. And he's like, it's upside down.
Uh-oh.
And we weren't expecting rain. So we had zipped down the flies, but actually left the inner zippers open. So we had a yard sale that we had to collect and we got back down off the hill.
Wow.
That was fun. And yeah, it had blown not super far, 30 yards, but it had broken one of the poles. So we had to do.
That makes more sense now.
Yeah.
So
I
yeah,
mean, it's not as if it's not designed to tumble.
correct. Yes.
So
I don't fault them. And
right.
Kuyu was super awesome. Contacted them when I got back and was like, hey, I had a pole break.
And they
They're
sent
like,
you a new pole.
Yep. Sent me a new pole. No questions asked.
Yeah.
So
I have another story about Kuyu's warranty program that I'll share off air here, but they have my respect as far as a warranty program company.
yeah.
They're top notch, man.
Yeah. They're super awesome about it.
They're as good as anybody I ever worked with as far as replacing stuff when it starts to show its age, even if it's not totally defective yet.
Yeah. And
Like-
I bought this tent actually secondhand. So
Well.
they didn't ask any questions. They sent me a new pole.
Yeah.
But yeah, we had to do some backwoodsing. So we actually took the rainfly pole
Okay.
and
Yeah.
disassembled it and put the pieces in for the actual ridge poles and then
Nice.
cut a sapling down to kind of keep the fly.
There you go.
up.
There you
So,
go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we had to do some backwoodsing on the tent.
That's pretty cool.
So
Do you have any pictures of that?
I don't know. I'll have to, my brother was he's way more artistic with the camera than I am. So he took some shots. I don't know if we got any of the pole.
I'm trying to weigh the pros and cons, like for this episode's title photo
Yeah.
for the socials.
Okay.
Like tent repair photo
Or ram photo.
or ram photo.
Yeah.
I don't know. That tent
Yeah.
photo sounds pretty good.
Yep. Yeah. It was
You have a picture of it upside down?
We did not. Yeah. We were too busy trying to find all our stuff.
From like 500 feet
Yeah.
up on the mountain coming down, like, where's my tent?
Yeah. That's exactly what it was. We were like, I think it was right
Well, because
there.
that rainfly is orange, but the bottom is gray. on those
Correct,
tents.
yes,
So
yeah.
seeing the bottom of it's no
Yeah.
small feat.
Yeah. And it had kind of blown. We were on the bottom. on like the actual like kind of drainage, but it had blown kind of off into like the tree saplings. Like we were on, the edge there.
Yeah.
And it had blown up into those. So like, it took us a minute to find it with the binoculars coming back down.
I know
we're
exactly
like, our stuff.
Where that was at.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am too. I'm thinking of the spot.
Yeah.
How much trouble did you find finding a straight sapling in there?
Since it was so short, not too bad.
Okay.
Well, I say this, we did have to hike a little ways because that day was the day we were moving towards the other ram. So we hiked up through the trees to the other drainage and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And we didn't really think of grabbing that until we got up there. So we got up there and then started setting up the tent and doing the doctoring. And then we're like, we need a tree.
Yeah.
And then we're like, there's no trees.
Did you attempt to use a trekking pole?
We did not.
Okay.
Yeah. Kept our trekking poles for ourselves. But
I think the worst wind I was ever in, I was guiding a couple of years ago, and the wind kicked up so bad while we were out sheep hunting that I've got that 2-man MSR tent.
Okay, the Hubba Hubba.
Yeah, and it's got, so if the tent is long ways like this here, and sorry for the listeners, you can't see this, but I'm going to explain it to Matt anyway. There's a center pole here with a Y on each end of it. So it's just one carbon pole with a Y on it and that little junction where the two legs come in to go to the four corners. Over the top, there's also a little pole that's attached to the top of it on like a little spin turret that you can fold out, and that's the width of the tent. And so that holds the tent out this way.
Yeah, that's kind of the same thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very common mountain tent design. Like the Stone Glacier Skyscraper 2-man is built very, very similarly as far as its setup, end result setup, right? I think the Stone Glacier uses 2 separate poles, very similar to like what the Kuyu one uses, which might be a little bit stronger, I'm sure, in some situations. But anyway, I was sheep hunting, and that stupid tent, it was picking up. I mean, it was blowing every bit 70 to 80 miles an hour with gusts that were flattening the tent.
Yeah.
And nothing ever broke. I could not believe it. I had rocks a third of the size of this table stacked up around that tent on top of my stakes that I had driven into the ground. And this was probably the best camp spot I had the entire sheep hunt. Like I lucked out having enough room to stake that whole tent out because it's no small footprint, right? I think this year I'm going to a 1-man just because of a smaller footprint. I think I'm going to give that Stone Glacier 1-man a shot. But underneath each end of that little short pole on top, that little arch pole, it was blowing so hard and it was trying to push that tent down so flat. I wedged a trekking pole under each side.
Oh, there you go.
And just pushed it up and held it tight and then locked it. It turned that tent into a bomb shelter.
Nice.
It worked so good.
Nice, yeah.
And then the next day, I was going to leave camp there and then go hike out and go look somewhere else for the rams because the storm had kind of stopped. And then I got real nervous and thought, should I take the trekking poles out? Is it going to blow up again when I leave? And I ended up taking my whole camp.
Yeah.
Which is pretty normal anyway, but that leads me to my next question. Were you guys kind of moving camp every day and then moving around? Or it sounds like you were kind of set up in that main valley and then just kind of moving out from there and looking for a ram.
That's exactly what we did. I don't know. Don't have tons of sheep hunting experience. So Madi got fixated on that first ram we saw.
Sure.
So we kind of saw him, went in there, set up camp and spent a couple days trying to turn him up.
If you have reason to believe that he might be legal, then you did the right thing.
Yeah.
So you got to look for him and try to find him.
Because our original plan was definitely to go even further than where we initially stopped, but we'd seen ram that looked legal. So
don't walk away from sheep to chase sheep.
Yeah, and I'd heard that, and so that's what we kind of did. And then later on, after we didn't turn them up, we did more moving of the tent and stuff like that to get better positions and shorter hikes.
So you ended up carrying camp then from the bottom of that one up and over the top eventually to find the other one that you ended up shooting.
Yeah, we did end up doing that. So we'd hiked up one drainage and kind of set up camp, looked for that ram, found a different ram. So one day we'd moved closer, and then the next day we went up and over type thing. Right. So like we'd gotten off the hill the one day, picked up camp, moved it a little bit closer, and that was the day we went up looking for, again, that one ram. lost the tent,
Yeah.
came back down, picked it up. We're like, all right, haven't seen him. Let's go after this other ram. So picked up, and then we had to go up and over.
Yeah.
So we had to go do the whole through the trees and over the hill.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Well, the trees at the bottom of that ridge are no small thing to scoff at.
Yeah.
That brush is. I've seen moose disappear in there.
Oh,
it's
Saw
insane.
moose in there. Yeah,
crazy thick.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was actually surprised to see as much moose sign and as many moose as we did.
Yeah.
That I guess far up.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
But
I mean, that time of year. Yeah, definitely. So a couple of questions then as far as the gear is concerned. Did you already have a pack that you ended up using for this hunt, or did you end up electing to buy a new pack?
So I had bought a pack the year before, thinking I wanted to do that and carrying out. If I had bought a pack the year before. It was a Stone Glacier, like 6900 Devo or whatever. So I had bought that and taken that actually on my caribou hunt on the Haul Road.
Mm-hmm.
And I used it more as a day pack in the load cell.
Yep.
To get the caribou off the road, 'cause you can't use wheelers up there either.
Right.
So I had the pack, the tent I had picked up that same year before too in the summer. Like I have an old RI half dome.
Yeah.
It's just not the lightest thing. Good tent.
I've
had it in a windstorm that flattened.
My dad used that tent on the late tag 3 years ago. 4 years ago now, and it flattened on him and broke.
Oh yeah, mine didn't break, but one of my poles has a
at like 3 o'clock in the morning.
Little wonk to it.
Yeah,
It's definitely bent.
his broke.
Yeah.
Like he came back to town and they replaced it for him.
Yeah.
And he ended up getting the same tent I've got.
Yeah.
That MSR.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that area is known for winds. I mean,
Yeah.
I guess hiking out, I guess we could say we had no rain, but not the hike out the one day.
atrocious winds.
Atrocious
Like-
wind
like
coming
knock you
down
over.
off. Yes. Yeah. It was pretty wild.
Yeah.
Like, cause we were in the bottom too at this point, hiking out
Yeah.
and doing the shuttle
Mhm.
to get the sheep and camp out and stuff. So
It
we had to
makes
do
it-
it twice.
Yeah.
And the wind was ripping that day.
I think one of the hardest things in sheep hunting with that heavy wind that I've ever had, and tell me if you experienced this, but it was when I had a heavy pack with full camp trying to go up or down super steep rocks where you needed your hands and your feet to get up and down. Like your trekking poles were collapsed down because you were like climbing up stuff. That made it really hard in the heavy wind because you've got a full pack.
Yeah.
It's full size. It's tall, it's wide, it's hanging low below your waistline.
Yeah.
And you've got all this weight, contorted off your back. And then you
Yeah.
get hit by a gust and it just wants to throw you off the side of the rock. And that made me a little bit nervous. And then also crossing creeks,
Yeah.
especially if you're trying to boulder hop. Like that is hard when it's blowing 60 miles an hour.
Yeah. The creek we came out of, we actually did even do the whole boots off, pants off thing. We were heavy with the sheep and stuff.
Yeah.
And we actually just was like, you know what?
Yeah.
We already have the sheep down.
Right.
Yeah.
We're just going to cross the creek. in
We're
our
on the way
boots.
out, yeah.
Yeah. Cause we're like, well, do we put our Crocs on like with a heavy pack crossing a creek, or do we just keep our good footing on and try to dry it out later? Like we already have a sheep down.
I think
so,
I probably would have done the same thing in your situation.
Yeah. So the hike out, lots of water crossings and
Sure.
wet.
Yeah.
So, but we just left our pants on.
But at
they
least
dried.
it wasn't pouring rain.
Nope. Yeah.
You didn't have to wear rain gear.
Nope. Yeah. So no rain other than like the walk in.
Mhm.
And then there was a wind day. One of the days we were hunting, it was clear though. So that
Mhm.
was kind of nice. But
Yeah.
I know what you're saying. We didn't have heavy packs, but we went up on a ridge
Yeah.
and the wind didn't feel so bad in the bottom, but we got up top and we were trying to glass and it
Makes it
was
hard to glass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're just like
Yep.
shaking everywhere at the binos.
Did you already have a spotter?
No, I didn't end up buying a spotter. So I
What'd you end up getting?
I did the Vortex Razor, the first gen. I actually like the focus wheels
Yep.
better than the new one. So
That first gen, you can swap out the eyepiece with the body of the old Swaro bodies as well.
correct, which is kind of one of the reasons I bought it. It was on
Yeah, I didn't know
sale
that.
at the Sportsman's, and
Because they were
I
going to
think
the
Tom
Gen 2.
there.
Yeah, Thomas is a good
Yeah.
friend of ours.
Yeah,
he's the one
he's-
that told me that.
Yeah, he did the same thing. He was like, "I'd get this one." He's like, "That's why they don't make it anymore because I'm pretty sure Swaro
Yeah.
went after
One
Vortex
after
for it."
Vortex. Yeah.
But yeah, he popped in the Swaro eyepiece and it's like they fit. it.
So now you can upgrade to a Swaro eyepiece and put it on the Vortex body, which, I mean, I'm sure there's guys that are screaming at their phone right now. No, don't ever do that.
Yeah,
but hey, I mean,
just buy the spotter.
if it works, it works.
Yep.
I can't fault a guy for trying.
Yeah.
You know, I took that Davros Spartan bipod tripod head and put it on a Primos trigger stick.
Yeah, I listened to that episode. Yeah,
like
that works like a charm.
It's about like putting a Swaro eyepiece on a Vortex scope, though.
Yeah, I could imagine. Yeah.
Yeah.
I used the Spartan Precision bipod for that.
Did you get the extendable leg one or
I
just
did.
You did. Okay.
Aluminum one.
That's the SHOT Show thing I saw. Spartan's got 3 new bipods coming out.
Really?
Yes.
Oh,
see, I didn't see that.
Yeah, I saw that. I didn't look into it a whole bunch, but
are they on their website yet?
I don't believe so. But there were some videos about them. I didn't take a bunch of time to watch them.
That's exciting.
But yeah, I was trying to remember. I was like, I know there was something really cool.
Because I've been thinking that this year I'd like to get the extended leg version. Because I have just the standard 9-inch carbon one.
Yep.
No extensions, no nothing. Mariah, I think you've got the 6-inch one.
Got the 7-inch.
Okay, 7. Yeah.
And I like that length, although there's times I want it a little taller.
Yeah.
Depending on what I'm doing. You can buy just the legs.
Yeah.
And they just thread in, which is what I would do.
Yeah.
There's no reason to buy the whole thing again.
Right. Yeah. But I've thought about upgrading to the extendable leg version, but if they've got 3 new ones coming out, then
there's some cool looking options. I think they may
don't tell my wife, but
they may even have a new mounting system that's a bit more precision minded.
Really?
Yeah, they've got like one that looks like that precision style bipod with the legs that swing up. They've got a bipod that looks like that.
Oh,
okay.
So you can leave it attached on there.
Yeah.
Interesting.
They've got one called the Hoplite. A couple others. I don't remember what all.
Very cool.
But yeah.
What boots did you go with?
So I had some Kuiu Scarpas that I wore. Yep.
Yeah, those are discontinued now.
I heard that
you quit selling them.
Yeah.
I don't.
My brother wore the same ones. He actually bought his.
Did you?
Drew the tag. He went on the outlet, and they were on the outlet because they're discontinued.
Yeah,
He's like, I couldn't pass them.
Basically, bought them on clearance then at that point. Yeah. Did you guys have the tall ones that were insulated or the shorter shank ones that are non-insulated?
I ran the taller insulated. He had like I guess the medium.
Yeah.
But uninsulated. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
No problems with cold feet for him. I mean, I'm sure August timeframe, it's usually fine to run on uninsulated boots.
Yeah. No, we were perfectly fine there. Yeah.
Well, and the nice part about those boots, those are a full synthetic, full rubber rand, really good shank support in that steep country. That's a place that I would want stouter boots for sure. And then also they dry out a lot faster than full grain leather boots do, way faster. So crossing a creek like you did on the way out, I'll bet you guys just about walk those things dry.
Yes, and that was kind of why I bought them. So my brother actually had a pair of the Lows that he had bought, and he'd come up the year previous, and we did the Haul Road Caribou. We got a Caribou.
He had the full grain leather Loas?
No, he had the low. He bought like lower Scarpas, and he wore those up there, and I was impressed on how fast they dried out compared to my leather boots.
Yeah.
And so I found a pair after that, and they came in handy this year. So.
I think my first set of sheep hunting boots was the Scarpa Charmeaux. I think you're supposed to pronounce it like Charmoise or something like that. It's a French thing, I guess. But they're an 8-inch tall shank and they're orange. They're like bright orange.
Yeah.
I actually bought mine at REI. Please forgive me. But I bought those a long time ago, and those are good boots.
Yeah.
But they're not very warm. And as far as like sheep hunting in September, they're not enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was surprised to see that Kuiu quit selling those because I've had several clients, even bear hunting clients on the coast, that show up wearing those.
Yeah.
And I've always been impressed with them. Like they look like very well made boots and very good design.
We had zero issues as far as the footwear.
No blisters, nothing like that. Yeah.
No, I wore Stone Glacier socks. Buddy suggested those, so
I've heard some complaints about those socks. Like
really, I
like they stink real bad.
I didn't have that issue, but I was fairly impressed with them compared to other socks I've tried. So I really liked them.
Yeah, right on.
No
I haven't tried the Stone Glacier socks yet. I've worn the Kuiu ones that are like left foot, right foot. And they have that increased padding on top of the foot, which is kind of nice for kind of the top of your
laces.
Yeah, exactly. Right where you get that lacing rub sometimes. I've, knock on wood, I've never had blisters in a hunting boot necessarily, but I have had sore spots over time.
Yeah.
And that's where I've gotten sore spots, is right at the top of the foot there where that lacing comes down kind of in that crook of the boot.
Yep.
So I actually wore those Kuiu socks.
Yep.
I wore those Kuiu socks, and those do pretty good job for me. But I keep going back to Darn Toughs. Like it's hard to beat Darn Toughs. Those are probably my favorite overalls.
Yeah.
But yeah, so pack, we covered that.
Yeah.
What'd you end up carrying for a rifle?
So that was a whole new purchase.
Being a bow hunter.
Yeah. So I obviously had some rifles. I had a 6.5 Creedmoor in Bergara that I actually really liked. Great shooter.
Mm-hmm.
But Bergaras are not known for being light, and it was not a light gun. I think it was like 10 pounds with optic,
Is it the that black speckled stock?
Yep. Yeah, it was the ridge.
It's like the ridge.
Yep.
Yep.
Did you take that stock off and throw the Boyds on there just to make it heavier?
No.
James had that exact gun in 300 Win Mag.
Okay.
And he put a Boyd's on it, and it was like a 14-pound gun.
I could see that. I have a Boyd's on the 22-250 that the gun's ungodly heavy. It's an old Savage FV
bull barrel,
28-inch bull barrel or 26-inch bull barrel. Yeah, it's my varmint gun
that you don't like to carry anywhere.
Well, yeah, I bought a backpack style sling for it because hiking it around, I was like, this is not fun.
You gotta get that
great. But
you got to get that load to carry on your hips to carry that rifle.
Yeah, but I put a Boyd's on that too because I had a black synthetic stock. I was like, I'll get a Boyd stock, and I bought the whole fancy cheap comb that raises, and got it in. I was like, oh, this is 14-pound rifle now.
Boyd stocks are nice, and I considered buying them. I almost bought one time, but they're heavy.
Yeah, they are heavy. I think they'd be nice for like a bench gun.
Oh, for sure. Especially for a budget.
I think Lyle at Stone Glacier has an old Ruger M77 that he hunts with, and it looks like, and I might be totally off on this too, but I think I saw him in a video one time that he had a Boyd stock on that gun.
So the Ruger M77, some of the original stocks they put on those guns were similar to the ones that Boyd's makes now.
Yeah, they're not light.
They weren't light. No,
I'm pretty sure that was an aftermarket stock.
Was an aftermarket? Okay,
yeah, I'm pretty sure. But he shoots that gun long range, and he takes it hunting too.
I mean, not all the Boyd stocks are that heavy, but typically you start looking at them and you do exactly what you did. You say, well, the one with all the fancy stuff's not that much more money.
It's exactly what
it's not.
Did, yeah.
But it's a lot
so
heavier.
I may as well just get
all
that.
That hardware makes it heavy.
Right.
Yeah. And that laminated wood. And yeah. So what rifle did you end up going with?
So I ended up selling the Creedmoor and getting a 6.5 PRC and a Seekins Element. And can't say enough about Seekins. It is a very nice rifle, and I think it's like 7.5 pounds with the optic. So it was
with the scope.
Yeah.
And what'd you go with for a scope?
It was a Leopold Mark V. Yeah.
A Mark V.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah, Mark V. Yeah.
Was it a 3.6 to 18? Or is it
4 to 14? I think. Right.
4 to 20 or something like that.
No, it's not that.
I don't remember what all their magnification
we can find that
options are on the Mark
3
V.
to 14, something like that. I don't think it went up to 16 or 20. It was 3 to 14 or 4 to 14.
Because they've got 3.6 to 18 in the Mark V. That's the most common one. They've got a step above that and a step below that. They've got like a.
Do they have like a mid-range one though, like what he's describing? They've got a 2 to 10, 3.6 to 18, 5 to 25, or 7 to 35.
Yeah.
Okay. Definitely than the
3.6 to 18.
Yeah. That's my favorite magnification in the Mark V.
Yeah. It's such a small, it's so compact.
For
so much.
Yeah.
And I actually bought that gun used here.
Really?
Yeah. Down in actually Delta Granite View.
Really?
Yeah, he had it on consignment. And
no kidding.
The buddy that was a big sheep hunter was like, you need to go buy this.
Yeah,
and
no kidding.
I kind of went down there and I was like, it's kind of a good deal. So don't tell the wife, but bought that. I was like, I'll sell the other rifle.
Right.
So I did that, but
yeah,
help flip the bill. But yeah, that's what I did.
And it shoots good.
Yes, it did. Did not. So it came with some hammer bullets.
Oh, really?
Yes. I thought you guys would be interested. I did not take those on the sheep hunt, though. I know. I probably should have. and I need to dive back into the copper realm. And I actually bought some LRX bullets for that rifle to try to load up this year.
The 127s.
Yep.
Yeah. Those shoot good.
Yeah. So being that I was stationed in California, I had to dive into copper bullets because when I was there, they went into the lead free ban. So you had to shoot copper.
Right.
And so I had reloaded up some old GMXs for the 2250 and some Barnes for my 30-06, and they all shot good, but never had the groupings like I did with lead core bullets.
Because you're shooting hammers.
Well, and probably wasn't as versed as I needed to be in reloading and depth and all that stuff. You know, I was kind of more going off my limited knowledge and doing what I always did and didn't get the groups.
Yeah.
But talking with people that do more reloading with copper bullets and stuff, they're like, oh, they like jump and you really got to mess with them and powders really matter. And I was like, well, I didn't mess with any of that. I just used the powder that I used for my other bullets.
Right.
And
I'll bet you we could talk to Steve and get you a pre-made load that he's had work in 6.5 PRC and probably get you started in a pretty good spot to get accuracy pretty quickly.
Yeah, I'm definitely interested in doing it more. So my brother drew an Oryx tag this last year talking about New Mexico. So
on range, off range?
Yeah, off range. Okay. So he killed one this year and he used a Barnes bullet. And he's kind of a fan of the copper bullets.
Yeah. They work awesome.
Yeah.
That's my favorite.
Yeah.
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 If I couldn't shoot hammers, I would shoot Barnes again.
Yeah.
I've probably killed the most animals overall with Barnes, I think.
Yeah.
And second most would be the Nosler Acubons when I was shooting a lot more lead cores.
Yep.
Is that what you ended up shooting?
Yeah.
The 140s?
Yep.
Yeah.
Acubon long
and the
range.
trophy grade Nosler ammo?
No, I reloaded them.
Oh, you did hand load those?
Yep,
okay.
I did hand load them. Yeah. So I did work up hand loads. So the rifle came with a bunch of brass and stuff. So I tried some ELDMs, some ELDXs, and found some Noslers and worked them all up and kind of shot what I felt was most comfortable. And I liked the long ranges.
Yeah.
And I think it came with some hammers that were preloaded and they shot great too. I was just
kind of limited.
I guess my copper passed. I was like, I don't know. Like, if I should
what hammers did it come with?
The 123 Hammer Hunters, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. That's definitely on the heavier end for what they offer. I think the heaviest that Hammer offers in 6.5 is like a 139 grain.
I don't know. I don't have a 6.5, so I'm not as versed
I believe.
But I don't have a 6.5 yet.
But we just talked about that a few shows ago. James was talking about a listener question that we got specifically about.
I think they might have a heavy. I don't remember. What
I'm pretty sure they top out at like 139.
I was thinking 140 class.
Yeah.
That's in there.
But that might be a shock hammer though.
It might be. Yeah.
Anyway, though, so what barrel length is on that gun?
A 21.
Okay.
Yeah, 21-inch barrel.
So what velocities were you seeing with those 140 Acubons?
So the time I took it to the range, I think it was like 29.18 is what I worked up. And
that's not bad.
No, it wasn't. And
how many grains? The bullet?
140s.
140s, really?
Yeah. Acubon long range.
That's not bad at all.
Yeah. Well, I know like the hammer, like the guy had the recipe on it, so definitely looking into maybe loading up some hammers again and testing them since I have a starting point since the guy left it to me.
Yeah.
That recipe. But I know he was getting like close to 32 with those hammer
I bet you so. Yeah, those things.
Yeah.
So it was like
they have a lot less bearing surface, and because they're a little bit lighter to start with, being a copper, it's pretty easy to push them real fast.
Yeah. Yep. So
very cool.
Yeah.
I will say I did make the mistake. So I resighted in that gun, and that's a lesson learned for sheep hunting. You know, like, oh, you think sheep, like you might have to take a far shot, like get comfortable shooting far. And I did the whole zero in at 200.
Yeah.
Shot the sheep at 160, but 32 degrees angled down. So actually, when I hit my rangefinder, and I had a SIG rangefinder, so I had plugged in all my velocities, so it kind of did the dope, and it was actually telling me to go past my zero, which I couldn't on that CDS dial. So, so I probably going back to 100 yard zero.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Well, let's not spoil the story. Let's take one more quick break, and then we'll get back and wrap this up with the kill story.
Hammer Bullets produces what we at the Northern Hunter consider to be the most premium and best working monolithic bullets on the market today. These bullets are easy to load, extremely accurate, and best of all, they're always in stock and ready to ship. The guys at Hammer designed them so that after penetrating the hide of an animal, it sheds its petals, initiating a massive energy dump while retaining the rear shank for maximum penetration. These bullets are built with 100% focus on how they perform on game, and their proprietary designs produce great BCs with specialized pressure grooves for amazing inherent accuracy and speed. They have a minimum expansion velocity of 1,800 feet per second, which allows for long-range shots, but with no maximum velocity, making them perfect for every cartridge from your granddaddy's old 30-30 to the high-velocity round like the Weatherby 3378 without having to worry about your bullet failing. To view their expansive selection and find the perfect match for your hunting needs, go to hammerbullets.com and use discount code TheNorthernHunter to drop the hammer on your next adventure.
And we're back.
Yeah.
Now for the fun part.
Yes.
So you said that you were chasing a ram initially.
Correct.
The tent blew away. You recovered all your yard sale equipment.
Yeah. Correct.
We've covered what you're shooting. Now let's pick back up. You lost the first ram. Now let's just go from
saw
there.
him again. So yeah, well, we're chasing that ram. Saw this ram across the drainage, and we thought he went up and over. We hiked back out, up and over, and then got on the ridge that we thought he went up and over. Crept around, got there like 11 a.m. I want to say, to the point that we had pinned on our Onyx and stuff.
Yeah,
and peeked over. Actually, I didn't even see him right away. Peeked over, so we're on the very top looking down.
that's not a small ridge to climb either.
No, the one backside was definitely more gentle than the side that we shot him on.
Definitely.
I was actually somewhat worried when we got up on that ridge and seeing the backside, because I thought that bull was going to be a lot different. And then we got up there and I was like, this looks like lamb and ewe country, not ram country.
Yeah.
So I was like, hopefully he's still on that side. So yeah, finally scooted across and got above him, and I actually didn't even see him right away. So I luckily he was further down the mountain than what we had thought he was going to be. Because
did you see him before he saw you?
Yes, but if he would have been higher up, I don't know if I would have been so lucky, because I definitely kind of I did the whole peek over little by little, but I definitely had kind of skylighted myself as I was creeping over.
Yeah.
And before I saw him, and then I was like, oh, there he is. And he was 666 yards below us.
Okay. All by himself.
All by himself. So yeah, every ram we saw was by himself in there. So yeah, all above him, and then
that makes it a little bit easier.
It does, yes. Yeah. But
they're also more spread apart and having to find a legal one if they're not all banded together. That,
and being a first time sheep hunter, it was kind of weird, because listening to other guys on sheep huntings, it seems like sometimes when they're in bands, the bigger, older ones stick out more, because you can look and compare them to rams right next to them.
Body size and mass overall.
So that was definitely seeing him by himself. We got the spotter out, angled down, and we're looking at him and trying to take pictures. And of course, your first sheep is is he legal? Is he not legal?
Super nerve-wracking.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so he had no idea. Luckily, we were there. So we got lots of videos, lots of pictures of him. Not versed enough to judge any off counting rings, but looking at him, he's got to be full curl. He looks like he's full curl and past his stick.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we watched him for a couple hours trying to make the decision, and yeah, the hill he was on was not. It was steep. It was, I guess you say, typical sheep shoot.
Yeah,
and so didn't know really how we were going to get down to him. We kind of thought maybe he'll feed up again like he did 2 days ago.
Yeah.
So we watched him for a while, and he would do the get up, feed, lay down, get up, feed, lay down. And then finally he kind of fed to our left and disappeared behind a big boulder. Didn't come out. We could see the whole boulder, but
went
didn't
in there
come out.
And bedded down or something.
So we're oh, he bedded. So I was like, well, I got to try to get across this scree field.
Yeah.
Because he's going to see me any other time. So he's out of sight, so I better move.
Yeah.
So left my brother at the top of the hill and started climbing down, and there were some ledges kind of above where he was at.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, skirted across the scree field, got to the ledges, kind of lost track of him, because I actually set up at one point and was I think I'm in a good spot. And then I was blasting, not seeing him. And I was like, I don't know if I'm in the right spot. Because
Mhm.
it looks way different once you start
Right,
getting on the
right.
side
Yeah.
of the hill.
Yeah.
But yeah, so got down there, set up once, and didn't see him. And I was like, I think I'm too far left. I think he's more to my right. And actually got up and skirted to the right. Smart enough, hunted enough that I kind of had gone, I was on a ledge, but kind of gone down below. So I had backdrop and wasn't skylighted.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm guaranteed he had seen me almost at that point because I kind of like skirted around, got to a different part of the ledge, and like was getting set up and got my rifle, got the bipod on, all that ready,
Yeah.
and pull up the binoculars in like 2 seconds. Bam, there he is, standing up, looking kind of up in my direction. So I'm guessing he kind of picked me out moving, but couldn't tell what I
that or he
was.
heard something and was just looking up around, checking it out.
Yeah, and I guess it somewhat holds true. Everybody kind of says if you can get above them, they don't maybe know what to do sometimes. So he was just sitting there staring at me.
Yeah.
And so, was able to, saw him in the binoculars, got the rifle up, ranged him. It was like 164 yards. Like I said, and I was surprised too. It was like 32 degrees down. So looking at it and the rangefinders saying, go negative MOA. I was like, well, that's not happening. Like
You're trying to hold low.
Yeah.
And then how low do I hold?
exactly.
With that angle?
Yeah. So it was definitely, and didn't do any angle shooting before. Didn't really know where to go do that. And then
It's
part of
hard,
my summer was
hard to
spent
do
Anchorage.
in flat Fairbanks.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
But yeah, and being a bow hunter, I always thought I had pretty steady nerves.
Yeah.
Like I shot my caribou up on the haul road at like 70 something yards. Like no real nerves. Like went through my shot sequence. Everything went well. One shot, great shot.
Yeah.
Bull went down. Like, so I thought I went down on that rifle scope 3 times on that ram. Like I got him up, and he was looking up at me and I was like, he for sure passed the stick. You're good.
Yeah.
But yeah, it took me 3 times going down on that rifle, like
To finally just calm down.
yeah, to calm down and be like, he's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Take your time.
Yeah.
And
Make the first one count.
Yeah. And didn't, I guess, make the greatest shots with the angle. So I hit him the first shot.
Yeah.
Knew he was hurt, like shot, heard the impact, and he immediately walking, couldn't run, kind of dragging a front shoulder, is walking but not moving fast. And I was like, all right, I hit him good, or so I thought. And I was like, he'll go down. Go down.
Yeah.
And then he kind of stood there and he kind of wobbled and bedded down. And I was like, kind of like expecting him to like, okay, he'll expire there. Because everybody says sheep
they're pretty easy to kill usually. Yeah.
No, I had the world's toughest sheep, I guess. So mine did not. He sat there and I'm looking at him through the scope and his head's up. He seems fairly alert. He's looking around and I was like, I don't think I hit him as good as I think.
Huh.
So tried to put another shot in him, but he's bedded kind of against the little dirt mound, I guess, or rock.
Yeah.
And shot, and I think that one went over him because no reaction. Like he stood up.
Mm-hmm.
And again, he's trying to like walk, but he's kind of like hobbling. And I was like, okay, another round in. Shot and straight down. That third shot, I was like, all right, I got him.
You hit him in the top of the back.
Yeah, I think I hit him in the top of the back, both those shots. One kind of far forward. That second or that third shot, I think was far forward. Because I can't believe he went straight down. Like you always hear sheep do.
Yeah.
Crumbled. And then saw us, kind of doing all the things of an expiring animal.
Yeah.
And then I'm picking up brass and look down and he's crawling.
Really?
Crawling, yeah. And I can see now that he's got a giant impact mark, kind of high shoulder neck area, but he's crawling towards this rocky chute.
Uh-oh.
And I'm like, I have to get down there. Like, I don't have a good angle on him. I need to get down there and try to shoot this ram again.
Yeah.
And so I had to hike up, couldn't find my lid from my pack because I'd just taken my lid. Searching around for my lid, can't find my lid. Finally find my lid. Start scooting down there on my butt to get down to this ram. And he had since fallen into this chute and is still can't get up, but crawling and rolling
Yeah.
down this hill in this chute.
Yeah.
And I got to about 100 yards, and he was on an edge, and I was trying to set up for a shot, and then the last thing I see is over the edge he goes. And so, yeah, out of sight. And I was like, well, that probably killed him.
Yeah, most likely.
Yeah, and yeah, I did. I hiked down and had to hike down below him and then come up the screen. He was at the bottom of that chute.
Did you go back up and get your brother and your pack and then come back down and find him?
No, I ended up in reaching him because he actually couldn't even see the shots from where he was at. Like he heard me shooting, and he was like, I got worried. I heard, shot and then a shot and then a shot. And then he's like, it sounded like you were hitting him. And I was like, well, I definitely hit him twice.
Yeah.
But yeah, he fell down to shoot. And yeah, so I actually in reached him and was like, Ram's down. He's legal.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to wait for him to hike down the hill, which is about 45 minutes to an hour.
Did he bring your pack down with him?
Yeah. Yeah. So
what a trooper.
Yeah.
Did he go one on the front, one on the back?
Nope. He strapped my pack to his pack. So he run the Stone Glacier Terminus.
The new one?
Yeah. So
how did he like that?
He liked it a lot.
The full internal.
Yeah, the full internal.
Yeah.
He did like it a lot, in that I don't.
Did he carry out half the RAM on the pack out in that load cell?
Yes. And the only thing I'll say is I'm not quite sure how you get a full RAM in that load cell. Like
yeah,
they say,
I've wondered about that.
Yeah.
Did you guys bone it out?
We did. So initially coming off, we did not. So
yeah,
like I said, we spotted him at like 11, and I probably shot him at like 2:30 in the afternoon. And then by the time he got down there, it's 4:30 in the afternoon. And then, the pictures and cutting him up in the precarious rocks that he found himself in.
Yeah.
We actually got him all cut up and stuff and kind of packed up, didn't bone out there, put them all in the bags and stuff, and actually tried going down the chute.
Mm-hmm.
And it was okay until we got, so at this point we were closer to the bottom than the top.
Mm-hmm.
So we're like, way easier to go down than to go up.
Yeah.
So we were going down, and then once we got farther down in that chute, it was now like midnight and getting dark.
Mm.
My headlamp had turned on in my pack and was dead.
Oh.
Yeah. So lesson learned there. Did not have my extra batteries with me. So we had his headlamp only going over these giant boulders in this chute with the alders now, because we're towards the bottom.
Yeah.
And we actually ended up, it's crazy to say, but we ditched half of the sheep there to get down, because I mean, it wasn't super heavy, but heavy enough going down those boulders, and with only one light. Like, this probably isn't safe.
Yeah. Leave the head and the cape and half the meat up top.
And looking at it, because we dropped pins and stuff and got back down.
Yeah.
And it was only like 350 yards from the bottom.
Really?
But yeah.
But in the dark in that situation, that's the smarter thing to do. Absolutely.
Yeah. Which we were, I don't know, before we came out of the bottom, 7 miles from camp, and it was midnight when we got to the bottom. So we didn't have the tent with us. We left it at camp. So we actually puffied up and slept on the bank of the creek there that we were on.
Just washed.
Yeah.
Did you have a tarp with you?
I did have my tarp with us,
but we
didn't put it up, but did have a tarp with us.
It's not raining.
Yeah. We had our rain gear and our puffies with us, so we just layered up and kind of slept with our backs against the rock with the sheep a little ways away, which of course we got down and didn't see any bears the whole trip, but we did get down from that spot, and right where we stopped, giant grizzly bear track right on the riverbank. And my brother's like, you got to be kidding me. I was like, well, we haven't seen him, so guess we'll roll the dice. Left the pistol at camp that day too, because my brother brought the pistol. So he had brought his pistol, but he left it at camp that day because we camped so up high. We kind of figured like, one, we probably won't see a bear up here this time of year, and two, we'll probably see him a ways away because there's no trees. You can glass forever.
They can just pop out right around a rock up there, and it surprises you. Yeah.
But now we're in the bottom again, and
right.
Yeah. So spent the night there, and the next morning woke up, went up, grabbed the rest of the sheep, came back down, then packed the whole sheep up and made our way back to camp.
So you guys went all the way back up and over, or did you go out and around out that drainage back to camp?
out and around. So we had to go out, around, and then back up to camp. So yeah, we were about 7 miles.
How far up was camp on that on the other side of that ridge? Halfway?
Yeah, I guess so. We kind of just found water is kind of where we decided this is camp. Cause
you found water halfway up there?
Yeah.
Really?
So I can see that.
There's some potholes up there.
Okay.
It would definitely, we ran a platypus. I think you guys have mentioned them before, the gravity fed. We brought one of those with us. And definitely had to backflow it up there though, because it was dirtier water. But yeah.
Some of those little potholes up there, up where the sheep live, that's where you'll get giardia.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because sheep carry that.
Yeah.
And they carry something else too that you can get, some other kind of bacteria that is kind of unique to sheep, is what I've heard. Now I haven't gotten it, but I've heard other guys talk about getting it.
And see, and that was kind of weird during this whole sheep thing. Like, I was more paranoid about that, I guess, growing up. Like, we always purified water, and then I talked to a lot of sheep hunters up here, and they're like, I just dip my bottle in the glacier water.
If it's,
and I was like, really?
If it's a creek that's flowing, then if there's not a chance of a beaver dam and it's not like up where the sheep are, then I'll do the same thing.
Yeah, it was just kind of mind blowing to me at first, because I was like, oh, do you guys pump? Do you guys tablet? And they're like, I don't even take any of that stuff. I mean, really, hey, just fill up.
SteriPen is real handy too, and that kind of stuff. It's light. Yeah. There's no filter to clog up, but you do have a battery that you have to recharge periodically. Okay. So if you have a solar panel, then you can recharge it pretty easily that way, and not rely on your battery backups. For charging your phone and your inReach type of deal.
Yeah. So for for the picture of when you spotted the one sheep and went up after it.
Yeah.
And then you went and you hiked up from one drainage, saw another sheep, hiked down into another drainage, and then up above the other sheep.
Correct.
So I mean, you climbed elevation that day alone, an easy just 3,000 plus feet.
Oh yeah, easy. Yeah.
Combined, right?
A lot of vertical.
Yeah, and I don't know. I
climbed and went down.
Yeah, and I guess it's a debate among sheep hunters. I've heard some say go up high and stay up high, and others I've heard say hunt from the bottom and then go up
situational.
Only once. Like don't spend the energy going up and down, but just find them from the bottom, go up once. And
in the super steep stuff, sometimes you can see them easier from the bottom. Like in country like that, I would probably do something very similar to what you guys were doing, is run those bottoms. If you know approximately where you're going to start seeing sheep, and especially when you're into more of the ram country, in that area, it's steep enough, you can probably hunt it for the first half of the hunt from the bottom.
Yeah.
But the challenge is always finding water once you get up top.
Yeah.
And when you're in that super steep stuff, when you get up top, if you don't kill a ram, if you don't have a ram that you want to kill, but you just climb up there, the hard part is to get anywhere else to another peak around you, you have to go back down and up again anyway.
Yeah.
Because it's very hard to ridge run in that type of country, because it's so steep, it's so cliffy.
Yeah,
it can get pretty technical in there in a hurry, and it's not like being in the Brooks Range where you can get up top and stay on top for days and days and days.
Right.
It would not be that hard in the Brooks in a lot of places to stay on top the entire hunt, but there's a lot less water.
Well, and where he was hunting, you have so much more visibility from the bottom.
Yes,
it sounds crazy, but you cut off
because
half
it's
of
steep.
what you can see when you're up high.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
because it's so steep.
Yeah. And some of those rams, and similar to like what yours was doing, some of those rams will just stay on the bottom half periodically.
Yeah, he's probably middle mountain. Yeah.
They'll spend some time down there and get the better feed. If there's no bears or nothing's pressuring them, then they'll go back up top. And I've seen golden eagles chasing them up on those cliffs before.
Yeah.
So that'll sometimes move them around, and they'll just do what sheep do, and they'll just spend a cycle up top, and then they'll move down low. And I've seen plenty of sheep down in the willows before, and even crossing creeks where I'm walking.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, what are you doing down here? You're an easy snack if a bear sees you.
Yeah.
At least you would think, but I don't see that many deadheads in the bottom, so they must be quick about it. So
that area you got your sheep in.
Yeah.
We were in there scouting.
Yeah.
And I think we saw a group of 3 rams.
Yeah.
I don't think we were too far away. We saw them very briefly.
They were up on the ridge going over the next side.
they were headed that way. They were
Yeah.
headed up,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
But they were right in that area. I mean, it could have been the same.
Yeah.
It could have been right where you were climbing from.
Yep.
We know, right?
Yeah,
Mhm.
possibly.
But seems to be the spot for rams.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's really cool. Well,
Yeah.
congratulations on
Thank
your
you.
first round.
Yeah, it was
Oh, yeah.
amazing experience.
Do you have plans to do it again this year?
So my brother put in for Delta. They have that non-resident guided by family, the one solo tag. So
Yeah.
he put in for that during the motorized. So I kind of want to repay the favor and get him a ram now.
Yeah.
So I don't know if we'll go this year. If he draws, we'll go. And
Yeah.
if not, we're going to try to make more plans to maybe do an OTC somewhere
Yeah.
next year. If not, our backup plan this year is to go chase mountain goats on Kodiak.
Very cool. Do that with a bow.
That's what I am planning on taking the bow.
You would
for
have
that,
a riot doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to take a gun just to make sure he gets one.
Sure,
But
sure.
I'm taking a bow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
I bought a
awesome.
new lift, so
The new Matthews.
Yeah.
You're still a Matthews guy.
I'm still a Matthews guy, and I didn't buy one. The Phase 4 just didn't. I guess
Didn't tickle your fancy.
didn't tickle my fancy enough for me to switch. But
Right.
this year the lift.
Because the last time you and I shot, you were shooting the
V3X. Yeah. So I had a V3X,
yeah.
and I loved it. Shot a moose with it. Shot a caribou with it.
And you shoot a real short bow, don't you?
Yeah, because I'm vertically challenged, so draw length. I can't usually get into the 33s and stuff like that just because they don't go down far enough.
Right.
In draw length. So
And you're shooting a 28 axle to axle?
the new lift is a 29.5.
Okay. Yeah.
What is your height, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm all of 5'4", so
Okay,
the vertically
alright.
challenged can kill sheep too.
Hey, you're tall. You know, I've heard that short guys have a lot better time in the mountains than tall guys.
Maybe I can tell you from personal experience. Climbing, usually I do get left in the dust
Really?
by the taller guys. and
My
the longer
wife complains
stride.
about
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I
And
know. Like, so my wife's 5'1". Well, she'll argue
Yeah.
5'2", but she's in between the two. She likes to round up. I round down because
Yeah.
you know I'm a jerk, I guess. But anyhow, we've actually been scouting in that area, not on the same drainage you killed your
Mhm.
sheep, but we were in actually the other drainage you were in, and hiking up, just looking at some sheep, seeing how close we could get to some ewes and lambs.
Yeah.
And I mean, we were within like 20 yards of one, which is
Oh,
really
wow.
cool. Just
Yeah.
trying to time it just right. And there was one straggler. If it wasn't
Yeah.
for that straggler that stood up on a rock and looked at us,
Yeah.
we would have had a lot more time to look at him. But it was still really cool.
Yeah.
But what I noticed was she had way better time climbing than I did.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. And I've heard that like from special operations guys, that when they're like in the mountains, like in the Hindu Kush and stuff like that, the short guys can just fly right up a mountain. And the tall guys have a lot harder time picking their legs up. And I don't know.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
I don't know. I know I took a spill down a mountain this year, down in the Chugach. So when I was stuck down there in Anchorage, went with a different buddy. You guys know him from the archery shop, but
Yeah.
went with him looking for sheep for his tag, and we bushwhacked and stuff, and then coming back down, I took a 30-foot fall. Just yeah,
Whoa.
it was
Wow.
we were in steep stuff, and
Whoa.
it was a long step for me because I'm so short. Like he had no problem, getting down, but it was such a long step for me that like I almost had to like jump down, and did that, and the dirt gave way, and I went head over heels, and landed right next to him, and he was like, "You all right?" I was like, "I think so."
Wow.
Give me a second.
You had a full pack on.
Not a full pack, but I had a pack with stuff in it, which probably helped cushion the fall.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
definitely took a
Wow.
Speaking of pack, I want to wrap around to something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You mentioned leaving your pack lid
Yeah.
that you'd take
Yep.
just to run after the ram,
Mm-hmm.
right? I killed a moose a few years back, and I left my jacket because I was sweating from running to get to a spot to shoot the moose. And I took a jacket and a couple things, piled them. I looked where I was. I could see my wheeler. I was like, all right, I know where I'm at.
Yeah.
Right? Well, I left them, I think, where I stopped and took my shot, and I was hot, and I had another 400 yards to climb. to where the moose was. And so I like, all right, well, I'm going to climb up. I'm like, well, you know what? I found the stuff, but I was doubting myself the whole way back to it. I had enough landmarks, and I've been told this my whole life: don't leave stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Don't leave the pack laying without something, without a flag, without something like that.
Yeah.
So there's a tip for you learned, and for the listeners, I always carry in my backpack at least a roll of flagging tape.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I have a unique roll. I've never seen anything else that matches it, but it's blue and white. So whenever I go on a hunt with somebody, I just pull that out and say, hey, this is my flagging tape. If you see this somewhere, if you haven't heard from me and you see this, this is me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've tried to make that a practice myself, being in the mountains and not leaving stuff, because it's really tempting.
dude, even just in the woods,
Yeah.
you can walk. I mean, you can walk out.
Well, I'm talking, mine was probably only 15 feet from me and I couldn't find it. Like-
Well, exactly. Exactly. Well, when it's the same colors of stuff around, or so much stuff is camo,
Right.
you lean your bag up against a tree and you walk 100 yards and you turn around and try to come back and find it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's well, like we said, as you now know, but yeah, that's a common thing that a lot of guys like to take off the lid of their pack, and they'll use that on their final approach.
Yep.
But then you see them leave it somewhere, and especially, you know, in your shooting situation, you're getting set up in a real steep angle shot. You don't need any extra height or support anywhere. So you're just trying to maneuver an angle, and boom, there's the ram, and then you're struggling, and then you're moving to try to see him when he goes somewhere, and then wait, where's my pack lid? And then it just hits you. What's in there? What am I going to miss if I lose this thing?
And the extra rounds were in there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the sheep is dead, so you can just fire all those off.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. Victory shots.
I've heard of guys doing that before.
Doing what?
Firing off their extra rounds after they killed a ram.
That doesn't seem like
That
a
seems
great idea.
Seems kind of ridiculous, but both in celebration and in theory. Well, I don't need to carry the extra weight. I'll just keep what's in the gun.
Lou mentioned that at one point too.
Did he really?
Really?
It was somebody else who shot a ram, but on one of his hunts, and then but they heard a whole bunch of shooting. They're like, what is going on?
Yeah.
And they ended up running into the guy. He's like, oh no, we just shot all the extra ammo after we killed the ram. Like, you don't have to pack it out now. I'm like, okay.
Hope you don't see a bear.
Well, and it's crazy. You have all the gear to get in there, sure. And yes, you're outfitted, and usually your experience. You know what you're doing in the mountains at least, and you're gonna have no problem getting out as long as everything goes according to plan. But as soon as weather kicks in and you can't get out, and maybe there's a medical emergency and you can't get a plane, biggest thing to stand between you and a bear, or just.
That gun is the only thing that makes you a better killer than a bear. And even then, arguably so.
Or able to procure food. Yep. I mean, I know this is kind of crazy, but we seem to live in a world every day that more and more likely for something like this to happen, where all of a sudden the Coast Guard's not there.
Yeah.
Or not the Coast Guard here, but the military.
I have thought that
or a
several
helicopter's
times.
Not available to come get you because something went down.
Yeah. 9/11 is a great example of that.
Yeah.
There were a lot of guys stuck out hunting, moose hunting, brown bear hunting, sheep hunting in September that did not get flown out on time. And back before the days of the inReach, if they couldn't get a hold of the guy on the sat phone, they were in the dark. Like,
you just hang out where
we're stuck out here.
Where you're supposed to be. And
at that point, you just go to the airstrip and hope that they come to get you eventually.
Yeah. Or, hey, satellites get knocked out. Yeah. That's the first thing on every country's radar.
Yeah.
Satellites are going to start being taken offline.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and end this one on a positive note.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot for coming in.
Yeah,
Matt.
no problem.
This has been a lot of fun.
It's good meeting you, Matt.
It's a lot of fun to talk sheep hunting and talk about the gear.
Amazing trip. Yep.
That was a great story. You know, so you ended up spending about a week in there total then?
Yeah. So killed them like day 7 and then spent 2.5 days hiking out.
We had a lot of miles to pack them out of there. It was no small pack out.
Yep. Yeah. Definitely blessed, I guess. Like the walk only said, didn't see anybody in there, but Wheeler would have been nice coming out.
Well, next time.
Yeah.
Just draw the late one next time. Actually, let one of us draw it next time.
Yes. Yeah.
And then we'll send you pictures of the Wheelers on the way out.
Let us know if you get it, and we'll maybe
I put it
we'll
for the
get
late
it too,
season this year, so we'll see.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, hey, thanks for coming on the show. It's
Yeah.
been a lot of fun, and we appreciate your time. And I know that you have to get to work here soon, and we have to get home before it hits 50 below tonight.
Yeah.
I got to go to work in the morning, so yeah.
If you like the show, subscribe, like the show on whatever platform you're listening on, give us a 5-star review, and
Yes,
leave
please.
a positive comment review if you would. That helps the algorithms push this show in front of more people, and really helps broadcast this without having to do anything else really outside of that. If you'd like to go a step further, you can go to our website, thenorthernhunter.com, and buy any of our merch, hats, hoodies, and tees right now, just logo wear. And if you'd like to go a step farther, the best thing you could do is go to our partners page on our website and shop from any one of our discount code options from any of our sponsored products. We'd appreciate that, and that helps us out tremendously with perpetuating what we're doing here. So anyway, I guess without further ado, we'll see you guys next week. And until then, get out there, get after it, and good luck. All right, folks. We all know that one of the most common mishaps in hunting is damage to your rifle scope. Last year, I found the solution to that problem with the Stealthy Hunter rifle cover. It wraps around your scope and actions securely to protect it from getting knocked off of zero or even severely damaged. Stealthy Hunter also has a glassing pad and a wide variety of supplements for the outdoorsman, such as protein powder, CBD products, turmeric, and gut health supplements. They also make a lightweight trauma kit weighing in at just 14 ounces that includes everything you need and nothing you don't for all of your backcountry medical emergencies. To shop all of their equipment and supplements, go to StealthyHunter.com and enter the discount code at checkout, The Northern Hunter, to save on your order today. All Stealthy Hunter equipment is proudly made in the USA.